Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if neglected Naruto gets cheated on fairy tale. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by ZEROEXPO13 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Start. Please Mira-chan take me on that S-class mission, I'll behave, I promise. Begged a 16-year-old Naruto. He was wearing an orange and black jumpsuit with a black headband wrapped around his forehead. Shut up Naruto. You're not strong enough to come. Said an irritated Mira. Hey. You're taking Elfman and Lisa-chan, and I'm stronger than them. Replied Naruto. They're my siblings, they get a free pass and besides, why don't you ask Urza, she'll take you on one. I'm kinda hiding from her right now Naruto muttered. Besides who want to go with her if I can go with someone as strong and as beautiful as you. Naruto inwardly smirked when he saw her arrogant smile. Millimeters well if you say it like that of course and your chain magic may come in useful. Mira's attitude became cold as she said the next thing. Naruto S-class mission is not the same as a regular mission, S-class missions are extremely dangerous and someone get really hurt, worse comes to worse, someone can die. Do you understand the consequences? Yes ma'am. Alright let's go get Elfman and Lisana. Mira walked off as Naruto caught up with her. The beast's location. Naruto, Mira, Elfman and Lisana took the train to a town near the forest the beast was said to be. They found the beast sleeping on an open rocky terrain. They took higher grounds and were currently coming up with a plan to take out the beast. We need to find a way to kill the beast as he sleeps. Whispered Mira. Why do we fight him when he's asleep, let me take it head on. Naruto said with a cocky smirk. No he's too strong to take him head on, we need to ambush him. Mira replied. I agree with Mira Nee, it would be easier if we ambush him. Said Lisana. You just want to hold me down, I'll take the monster by myself if I have to. Naruto said as jumped down the cliff to attack the monster. Mira was too late to react. Hey why you overgrown gorilla. Wake up so I can kick your ugly ass. Naruto yelled chains began to come out of his palms. The beast groggily looked up as he was attacked by a barrage of chains. Feel my wrath you ugly gorilla, my legendary chain magic. Yelled Naruto, but to his surprise the beast stood there, without staggering. The beast grabbed one of the chains and threw Naruto over his shoulders. Naruto headed toward a giant rock at incredible force that would have killed him if it wasn't for a transformed Mira. She dropped Naruto with her siblings and turned toward the beast. You idiot. We lost our best chance to slay it. Mira yelled without leaving her gaze from the beast. I want you three to stay back, I'll fight it. Mira flew toward the beast. Soul extinction. Mira concentrated her magic in a sphere and shot a blast of dark magic. The spell hit the monster straight in the chest and caused a huge explosion. Is he dead? No, it was too easy. She narrowly dodged the beast's swipe by flying higher. Damn it just die. Evil explosion. She gathered more magic and fired it toward the beast which he took no attempts to dodge. Like before it caused no damage to the beast. Damn I think I'll have to use Satan's soul. Citri. Mira was going to transform but she saw Naruto running toward the beast with Lisana and Elfman on his tail, chasing him. Naruto used his chain magic to capture beast's left arm. The beast easily broke through his chains and went to attack Naruto. Mira saw it coming, so she flew toward Naruto at her highest speed and pushed Naruto toward her siblings. She saved Naruto but wasn't able to save herself, the beast punched her breaking her right arm. Ah! Mira cried out as she rolled across the rocky terrain. Nee-chan! Yelled both Lisana and Elfman as they ran toward their downed sister. Nee-chan are you okay? Asked Elfman. Ah! My right arm is broken. Mira cried as she clutched her right arm. Naruto stood on the side frozen. Mira was injured because of him, he couldn't even put a scratch on that monster. He wanted run badly, but he couldn't, he was feeling something he hasn't felt since he last saw him, he was feeling afraid. As the real man here, I'll protect all three of you. Elfman yelled ignoring the protest from his sisters. Elfman put his hands forward and attempted his takeover magic. It was appearing to be successful until transformed Elfman began clutching his head and start to roar in pain. It can't be, the beast is too strong. Mira muttered. You must fight it Elfman. You can't let it control you. Elfman stopped screaming and began walking toward them. Damn it. Lisana, Naruto go back to the guild. I'll hold him off. Mira said as she stood up holding her broken arm before collapsing again. No it's okay, big brother can beat it. Said Lisana as she stood in front of Mira and Naruto. Naruto could not say or do anything, but just watch. Hey big brother, I know you're in there. I know what you are thinking and no we won't be mad at you. I swear just turn back to normal. Come brother, give little sister a hug. Lisana said as she opened her arms and smiled at the possessed Elfman. The possessed Elfman just looked at Lisana before bringing up his hand. Lysana just continued to smile at him before being smacked away. Mira looked on with horror as her sister hit the side of a cliff with much force. She stood up and ran toward the down Lysana. Elfman regained his conscience and ran to see his sister as well. Naruto just stood there on the same spot, watching Lysana's last moments. Unaware to them, a figure was watching them. Naruto let tears fall as we watched Lysana be carried away by a strange light. He went toward Mira and Elfman to try to comfort them, but instead he received a slap. "It's your fault, it's your fucking fault. My sister because of you," yelled a furious Mira. "Sister please st. No Elfman I want. Our sister is gone because of his stupid arrogance," yelled Mira. "If I didn't save your life, I may have been able to save my sister." Naruto was shocked by what he was hearing, this was even painful because it was true. "I want you to stay away from me. I want you to stay away from my brother. Why don't just stay away from Fairy Tail if we're at it, it would be safer if you weren't there. The world would be better if you were dead," Mira yelled. Naruto stared at Mira's angry face before he started to take steps back. As he did he began to walk faster away until he began running. He ignored the calls from Elfman as he ran deep in the forest. Running deeper and deeper he tripped by a root that was sticking out. He didn't even attempt to stand up so he laid there and cried loudly. "So are you just gonna lay there, wait until a wild animal kills you?" said a mysterious voice. "The world would be better if I was dead." Naruto looked at the source of the voice. It was Cloaked Man sitting on a branch. "Ha! Do you think the world would even notice another weakling dying? I am weak, like he told me all those years ago." Naruto whispered loud enough for him to hear. "Then why don't you become more stronger?" asked the Cloaked Man. "I try but I can't get the power I need," said Naruto as he stared at his hands. "Boy, why do you want power?" "Huh?" Naruto said confused. "Why do you want power, why do you need it?" The figure said as dropped from the branch and began walking toward the down Naruto. I need the power so I can protect my friends, so no one else will die," Naruto declared. How naive. "Well I'll give you a proposal." "And what would that be?" asked Naruto. "I'll give you the power you need, the power you want." Naruto looked up with awe now. "In exchange I'll want something in return," the mysterious person said. "What do you want?" Naruto said with narrowed eyes. "When we're done with your training I want you," the mysterious figure dropped his cloak allowing Naruto to see his face and his radiant gray eyes. "To kill me." End. Chapter 2. Silent Wind. Begin. "Why you want me to kill you?" Naruto asked unsure if he heard the Cloaked Man right. "Yes, in exchange for power, I want you to kill me," the man said without emotion. "I'm tired of living in this corrupt world, so I wish to die." "If you really want to die, why don't you just kill yourself?" "Long ago, in one of my adventures, I encountered an ancient tomb of the legendary light mage, Cyril Luz with a strange symbols around it. I was a grave robber before so I walked toward the tomb to steal the ancient artifacts. What I found was that the tomb had a spiritual guardian. The spirit found me unworthy to step any closer to the tomb, so he cursed me with immortality. I thought it as a blessing at first until I see my lover and children die before me. I was cursed to watch this disgusting world go from war to fake peace and back to more bloodshed," the man said. "If you have immortality, how am I supposed to kill you?" asked a confused Naruto. If he was immortal, how was he supposed to kill him? "What the spirit told me before I was thrown out of the tomb was, a pure child clouded by misguided ways will lose someone dear to him in the cruel wheel of fate, his pure soul will be tainted by the emotions of sadness and agony, he will be the one to save you from your curse." The man quoted the spirit's words. "And I believe I found the one I'm looking for." "Me?" "Yes you boy, you believed you could take the world alone, you were naive to the cruelty of this world. It only took the loss of that girl for you to open your eyes. You even acknowledge that you are weak, other mages are so arrogant of their abilities, they don't realize they're weak until death has a grip on them. Boy, your innocence has been taken from you, you witnessed the death someone dear to your heart and another has denounced you. Your pure soul has been tainted by cruel fate." Who are you?" asked Naruto as tears fell down his cheeks. "I am the one who will guide you to your future, I am your stepping stone to the power you desire, I am Daku Del, or by the name I gained through my travels, God of the North Wind," Daku announced. "Now tell me your name boy." "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, Mage of Fairy Tail," Naruto announced proudly before adopting depressed look. He remembered the harsh words that Mira told him. She was right, he should just stay away from Fairy Tail. He was going to begin to cry again, but was interrupted by Daku. Daku extended his right hand toward Naruto. "So do you accept our conditions? Once I give you my power, you take my life," Daku said coolly. "But I don't want to take a life," Naruto said as he looked up, showing his tears. "So you would rather stay weak and allow more of your loved ones to die?" Daku yelled at Naruto. He grabbed him by the collar and pulled him closer. Would it help if I told you the crimes I committed during my lifetime? The blood I spilled, the wives I widowed, the lives I ruined. The only way to gain redemption for my crimes is death. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard the crimes Deku committed. I made mistakes I regret to this day, the only way to redeem myself is death. So please child, accept my request. Deku begged as he dropped Naruto. I accept, Naruto whispered. What did you say, child? I accept, I'll free you from your curse in exchange for power. Naruto said as he clutched his right arm. Deku looked down and connected with Naruto's fierce blue eyes, they radiated determination. Yes, he's the one. Fairy Tail. Hey Pinky. Give me back my underwear. Gray said as he chased Natsu around the guild naked. Gray stopped when the guild door opened. There stood an injured Mira and Elfman, both having tears fall down their cheeks. Mira, what's wrong? And where's Lisana-chan and Naruto-kun? Makarov, third master of Fairy Tail, asked worried as he saw the conditions of the two siblings. Mira ignored the Naruto part and dropped in her knees. Lisana is dead. Cried out Mira. Elfman dropped down and held his sister to comfort her. The whole guild looked with complete horror. Kana dropped her beer, Urza stopped eating her cheesecake, Wabaka dropped a cigarette in his mouth, and Natsu stopped running around and just stared at Mira and Elfman. How did this happen? Asked Makarov. It was that idiot Naruto's fault. He tried to take the beast head on. Mira said with anger. Ni-chan, stop it. It was fault, I was too weak to fully control the beast. Elfman said as tears fell. Don't say that, you tried to save us. If Naruto wasn't in my way we could have slain it or had enough time to retreat. Mira then yelled something that shocked the whole guild. I wish Naruto died instead of my sister. Mira stood up and ran out of the guild. Elfman stood up and tried to run after her, but was stopped by Makarov. Elfman, where is Naruto? Makarov asked sternly. I don't know, master, last I saw him, he ran deep in the forest the beast was located at. I would have chased after him, but my sister was too injured and needed immediate medical attention. Elfman said. I understand, we will arrange a proper funeral for Lisana, and after that Urza, I want you to look for Naruto. He received a nod from the Reteed. Makarov then walked toward the Strauss residence. He needed to talk with Mira. Strauss residence. Makarov walked up toward the two-story house, walked up and opened the unlocked door. He began looking for Mira and finally found her in Lisana's room. Mira-chan. Makarov called Mira, who looked up. Mira, I want you to tell me everything that happened on that mission. Mira's only response was a nod. She began to tell her what happened from Naruto rushing in without a plan to how Elfman tried to use his magic to take over the beast. Then she told him how the beast was too strong that it possessed Elfman and hit Lisana. Mira began to cry again when she recalled Lisana's last moment, which Makarov hugged her as comfort. It's okay, Mira-chan, Lisana wouldn't like to see her big sister in this condition. Makarov comforted her. Mira just looked up at Makarov and slowly nodded. Now Mira-chan, what happened to Naruto-kun? Makarov was shocked when he saw the murderous look on her face. That idiot. He took my advice and ran away, good riddance, Fairy Tail would be safer without him. I hope he was killed by some wild monsters or something. Makarov became angry when he heard this. Never wish for the harm of one of your fellow guild members. Makarov roared as he grew in size. Ooh. I said never. Makarov cooled off and dwarfed back to his normal height. Makarov's anger quickly turned to compassion. Do you think if he died instead, you'll feel any better? Would you be happier if Lisana was alive and Naruto was dead? Makarov asked. No, but. You know, you and Naruto are so much alike. Makarov said. How so? Asked a curious Mira. Let tell you about Naruto's past. Flashback. X873. Makarov was currently returning from the annual guild masters meeting. Usually he would take the train back but decided to visit Konoha, the village his old friend came from. Makarov was walking by until he saw something that disgusted him. 4 grown men were beating a 7-year-old child. What the hell are you doing to that child? Makarov roared in his giant form. The 4 men turned toward the giant and quickly ran away from the giant. Makarov then noticed 2 masked figures drop from the roof. You're the Anbu, the authority of Konoha. Said Makarov back in his normal form. Yes, we are. We did not need any assistance in dealing with this situation. Said the hawk mask Anbu. So you were watching. So tell me why you didn't interfere earlier. Makarov narrowed his eyes toward the 2 Anbu. Our duties is to make Caillou the child doesn't get killed, doing more isn't required. Said the owl mask Anbu. Isn't your job to let no harm come to those in the village, that includes this child? Yelled Makarov. The 2 Anbu were going to reply, but was stopped by the village leader, who was accompanied by 3 high-ranked Anbu. Makarov. What are you doing here? Sarutobi said as the down Naruto caught his attention. Tora, Nico, take Naruto to the hospital and make sure the doctors don't try nothing. If they do, threaten with a visit to Ibiki. The two Anbu behind him nodded and took Naruto to the hospital. You too. How did Naruto get harmed? Sarutobi commanded to the other two Anbu. We were distracted by a possible breach in our defense. When we returned we found 4 men beating Naruto. We were going to interfere, but this man was a step ahead of us. Lied the hawk-masked Anbu. Dog, I want you to take these two Anbu to Ibiki to see if they were telling the truth. Both Anbu looked in horror as they were taken to Ibiki. Makarov, follow me to my office. Sarutobi said as he began walking toward the leader's tower. The walk was silent until they reached his office. Once inside, Sarutobi used a ruin to make the room soundproof. I can tell you have questions, ask away. Sarutobi said as he sat on his seat. Makarov took the seat in front of his desk. Why were those men beating that child? And why did your Anbu not do anything? Yelled Makarov. Makarov, do you know how Minato was killed? Asked Sarutobi. He was killed killing the strongest of the 9 legendary tailed demons. That's where you're wrong, you see those demons cannot be slain, they are made of pure ether nano. They can't die, if you're able to beat it, it'll just reform later. Explained Sarutobi. What? So the only way to defeat it is to seal it? Makarov realized. Yes, and the only seal that was able to hold and suppress the Kyuubi was a seal created by a god. Sadly Minato was weakened immensely so he could only use one seal, the Reaper Dead seal. Makarov finally realized where the child came into this. And the seal will had only worked on a newborn, a grown man will die instantly if the Kyuubi was sealed in him. Makarov couldn't believe it, a child had to hold such a burden he didn't choose. But that's not all, Minato was too noble to ask another parent to give their child such a burden. The child he chose to be the host was his own son. Sarutobi said as he looked at the shocked mage in front of him. Makarov couldn't believe that Minato would do something so cruel to his own son. If that is true, then why does your villagers treat the boy bad? Shouldn't they treat him as a hero? Yelled Makarov. They don't know he is Minato's son for his safety. If the council knew that the former 5th seat had a son, they would attempt to get him and make him their personal weapon, but that's not the worst. We got to worry about the many enemies Minato created. Sarutobi said as he looked down. Then why do you tell me? Because Minato trusts you with his life. Sarutobi said with conviction. Makarov, I would like to ask a favor of you. What would that be? I want you to take Naruto to Fairy Tail and give him a real life. I have too much responsibilities running the village and can't keep Naruto safe. You even saw that those who swear to protect the village and its people won't even step in to help him. So I beg you, take Naruto away. Makarov just stood up and walked toward the exit. Where's the hospital? Asked Makarov without turning around. 2 blocks east from here. Sarutobi said with a smile. Hospital. Once Makarov arrived at the hospital, he asked a receptionist for Naruto's room. She gave his location with a scowl on her face. When he arrived he came in contact with Tora, who stood outside as the guard. When he went inside he saw the beautiful face of the Anbu known as Nico, who was caressing Naruto's right cheek. You're one of the Anbu who was with your village leader earlier, if I'm correct. Makarov said as the purple-haired mage looked up flustered. Why yes, I'm Nico. She said, a little embarrassed being caught caressing Naruto's cheek. You seem different, you don't scorn the boy. No. I actually see him as a hero. How he smiles actually inspires me to go on. I lost both my parents during the Kyuubi attack. I was forced to fend for myself. Loneliness invaded my heart, I wanted to end it badly, but then I saw him. I saw him beaten in an alley. When he stood up I saw him smiling. I couldn't believe he could smile with the suffering he went through. So that day I thrived to be as strong as him. Nico said as she stared at Naruto's sleeping face. I know it's against protocol, but what is your real name? Makarov asked. Yugao. Well, it's good to meet you, Yugao-chan. So since I can tell you've fallen for the younger boy, I would like to tell you something. Yugao fiercely blushed when she heard what he said. Yes, she didn't respond to male advances, not even Sweet Hate, who trained in swordsmanship, to have things in common with her, but that doesn't mean she fell for the blonde. I'm going to take Naruto away from the village. Yugao's eyes widened when she heard this. He was trying to take the only thing keeping her alive away. Why? Asked Yugao desperately. Your leader believes it's what's best for him. If you truly care for him then you'll allow him to go. But, I. If Naruto is really your embodiment of hope then you won't need him personally, anyway I'll bring him to visit when he's strong enough. Who knows, when we do return you can tell him you love him. Makarov teased. Shut up. Yelled a red Yugao. She was going to attack Makarov, but she heard the groaning of their sleeping guests. Well, it seems you're awake. Makarov stated. Once Naruto became fully awake he scooted farther away from Makarov and Yugao. Both of them just looked at him with sadness. Are you two going to beat me up? Asked Naruto scared. Why would we do that? Asked Makarov as he walked closer to Naruto. Because I'm a demon. Never say that again. Naruto, you are no demon, do you hear me? Makarov told Naruto, who looked at him weirdly. If I'm not a demon, then what am I? Asked Naruto innocently. You're Naruto Uzumaki, fairy tale mage. Makarov stated as he stood in front of Naruto. Naruto, do you want to go to a place where you could be happy? Are you serious? Makarov nodded. What about Gigi? Naruto whispered. He asked me to take you to Fairy Tail, he said you'll be happier there. Okay, I'll go, but one more question, is Pretty-chan going too? Naruto asked as he pointed toward the blushing Yugao. No, I'm not going, Naruto-kun, but we'll see each other again, okay? Yugao said with a smile. Naruto just nodded as he and Makarov went to Naruto's rundown apartment to pick up his stuff. While they walked toward Fairy Tail, Makarov told him about Fairy Tail and his adventures. Makarov was reminded with his time with young Laxus as he talked with Naruto. Flashback end. So you see what I'm trying to tell you, Mira, his cocky attitude was a mask he wore to hide his loneliness. Makarov said as he looked at Mira. Mira had a shocked look on her face. She was treated like a demon too in her old village. I didn't know. Mira said. It's okay, once we find Naruto I will give him the worst punishment I can think of and you can talk with him. Okay. Mira nodded as Makarov walked out of the room. Mira was left alone to ponder her thoughts. It still hurts, but I need to apologize to Naruto. Thought Mira before she fell asleep. Forest. Boy, to use my power you have to be one with the wind. Deku said as he stared at Naruto, who was meditating. First, my name is Naruto for the last time. Second, that doesn't make sense. Naruto said before getting hit by a kendo stick. Sigh, this will be annoying than I thought. End. Chapter 3. Realization. Begin. Deku decided to take Naruto to a secluded mountain where they can finish their training. Naruto was still not comfortable with killing him, but he would do it for his friends and his master himself. So boy, what type of magic do you use? Asked Deku. Oh, I use chain magic. Naruto stated. Really, that's it? I can feel a strong presence inside of you. Naruto just looked at Deku confused. Deku sighed and sat in front of him. He put his right hand on top of Naruto's head. Hey, what are? Relax, I'm going inside your mindscape to find the presence I feel inside you. Naruto began to panic when he realized Deku would be able to see his memories and thoughts. No, I won't see your thoughts. Deku said. Mindscape? Wow, your mindscape looks like a sower, resembles you in some way. Deku said as he looked at Naruto. Naruto getting offended by the way he said it. Hey. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto asked angrily. You're a slob. Deku said bluntly. Naruto was going to counter, but he felt a feeling of pure evil coming from the end of the room. Deku, also feeling the energy, decided to investigate the demonic presence. Deku and Naruto walked up the room and came in contact with a giant gate. Deku grabbed Naruto and jumped back, dodging a giant claw. What an honor, my jailer decided to pay a visit. Said a demonic voice behind the gate. Two giant crimson eyes stared down at Deku and Naruto. Who are you and why are you inside my head? Asked Naruto. Haha, so you don't me? I'm the reason those villagers called you demon. Roared the demonic voice. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard this information. You human call me Kyuubi, the nine-tailed demon. Kyuubi announced himself. Deku was shocked that such a powerful demon was sealed in this boy. Deku Hus turned to Naruto and gave an excited laugh. Well, it seems you will be able to kill me sooner than later. You hold the legendary demon sealed inside you. That means you will be able to use demon takeover magic. Deku told Naruto, excited. Ahaha, my magic is the embodiment of hatred, this puny human wouldn't be able to wield my magic without losing control. Laughed out Kyuubi. To his surprise, Deku didn't stop smirking. I know all about your magic and I also know this boy is not the first host you had. Deku said. You see, I fought your previous host, Red Death, before. She was in full control of your power. Kyuubi growled when he heard him. So I realized how she was able to control your power. This boy will have to control his emotions. Have you seen what this boy been through? Kyuubi pointed out. This boy life was full of hatred and sadness. This boy was raised in hatred. Naruto looked down, trying to avoid eye contact with Deku. Naruto has yet to tell him about his past. I don't know about the boy's past, but I can tell you his future. He will become one of the strongest mages Earthland has ever seen. Deku said proudly. What makes you sure that is true? He is my student after all. Naruto looked at Deku with shock. He believes in him. He told me that too, before he nearly killed me. Naruto thought about the person who once thought as a brother. Ahaha. Fine human, try to claim my power, just be warned, the chance I get, I will take the child's body. Kyuubi said before Deku and Naruto were thrown out of Naruto's mindscape. Mountain. So he was the reason I was treated bad by my village, I guess they were right, I am a demon. Naruto said as he looked down, depressed. You're not a demon, you and Kyuubi are separate beings. Deku said as he put his hand on top of Naruto's head. Those villagers must have been idiots if they thought you were a demon. Yes, really, now let's start with training already. Deku stood up and went to a flat surface. Naruto stood up and followed him. Forest. After the funeral, Urza took Natsu and Mira, who begged to come along to find Naruto. Mira took them to the location they fought the beast. Natsu, do you smell Naruto? Yeah, I smell him that way. Natsu pointed west from their location. Yeah, that's where he ran off. Mira said. The group kept going deeper into the forest until they reached a small opening. This where his scent ends. Natsu said sadly. What are you trying to say? He just disappeared, Mira yelled. She wanted to find Naruto and apologize by the way she treated him. I don't know, his smell is just gone. Natsu said as he avoided eye contact with Mira. Then try harder, we need to find Naruto. Mira, stop. Natsu can't do any more. Yelled Urza. So what, are we supposed to just give up? Yelled Mira toward Urza, who had her back turned away from her. Do you even care about him? What Mira got was a punch to the face. How dare you say I don't care? Urza yelled as tears fell from your left eye. Do you know how dear Naruto is to me? Mira looked up toward her rival, shocked. I was always alone in the guild until Naruto came and talked to me. He didn't give up no matter how much I ignored or insulted him. One day I asked him why he doesn't leave me alone, and guess what he said? He told me that he knew the pain loneliness gives you. He became a man I respect and hold dear to my heart, so don't you dare say I don't care about him. We will head back to the guild, we will not give up our search for him, but right now we're at a dead end here. Urza said as she reached out her hand at Mira. Mira took it and followed Urza and Natsu toward Fairy Tail Mountain. So what are you going to teach me, sensei? I'm going to teach you my wind manipulation magic, how to wield a weapon in controlling your emotions. Naruto got confused when he heard the first magic. A master, what is wind manipulation magic? I never heard of that type of wind magic. Asked Naruto. Of course you haven't, it's lost magic. Wind manipulation magic is stronger than regular wind magic. Wind manipulation magic gives you full control of the wind. It allows you to control the amount oxygen is in the air, solidify air, and the ability to walk on air. Deku informed the excited Naruto. I'll be able to fly. Yes, in some way. Deku demonstrated by floating higher in the air, by solidifying the air under his feet. I strengthen the air under my feet enough to walk on it. Cool. So what weapon will you teach me to use? Well, it depends which you summon. Deku interrupted Naruto's next question by putting his arm back. The wind began to distort around them. Deku grabbed something and pulled it forward. Out of nowhere, a golden sword came out of thin air. What the hell? Where did the blade come from? Naruto yelled. You see, this weapon here is my soul. Deku said as he looked at a confused Naruto. This weapon is the embodiment of my soul, its power comes from the strength of the wielder's will. The weapon takes power is based on its user. It has a drawback though, like if the weapon breaks the owner dies too, I really don't have to worry being immortal and all. Naruto's sweat dropped when he heard his sensei. I know of 4 others who wield soul weapons alive today, some use that power for evil. Deku then pointed his sword toward Naruto. I want you to summon your weapon. How do I do that? Asked Naruto. You will go inside your soul and will be tested by your darkness. You fail, you will never wield your weapon. Deku then stood in front of him. I want you to relax, boy, I know for a fact you're stronger than your darkness. Deku said as he took a step back. Now meditate and let your soul pull you in. Naruto nodded and sat down. He waited until he felt a pull. Soul plane. Naruto woke up in the village he was born in, Konoha. He was frightened at first, but remembered Deku's words. He began walking around until he heard a person scream. The demon is here. Naruto turned around and came face to face with a group of villagers carrying pitchforks and torches. Naruto didn't want to deal with them, so he ran away. Every turn he took he came in contact with another group of villagers. He was being chased until he met a dead end in an alley. We have you cornered, demon. Yelled a female carrying a pitchfork. We're finally gonna kill the demon. Yelled another villager. Naruto stood there frozen, who couldn't act. So this is what you did with your life I spared. Instead of becoming stronger, you stayed weak. Said a voice Naruto knew too well. Sasuke, Naruto whispered. I'm going to finish what I couldn't 5 years ago. Sasuke said as he powered up lightning on his left hand. Naruto was completely afraid as the villagers and Sasuke kept getting closer. Naruto couldn't anything, so he stood there frozen. I believe in you, a whisper said in the wind. As Naruto heard the voice, he envisioned those he swore to protect. He saw Sarutobi, Makarov, Yugao, Mira, Urza, and the rest of Fairy Tail. I can't die yet. Naruto yelled as he grabbed onto something behind him. I'm going to be the strongest. With that, Naruto swiped with his new weapon and blew them all away. Outside. "So that's your weapon, you cease to amaze me," Naruto Daku said as he stared at Naruto, who was radiating golden energy with his weapon on his shoulder. The Greatsword of Aeolus. End. Chapter 4. The Tainted White Rose. Begin. Act 783. It's been a year since Daku began Naruto's training. Since then, Daku taught Naruto wind manipulation magic, how to control his emotions and to wield his soul weapon, which happened to be a legendary blade. Flashback. Awesome. My blade is huge. Naruto yelled in awe. Naruto tried to swing it but found it extremely heavy. Daku sighed when he saw the boy struggle to pick it up. "Idiot boy, you can't wield that legendary weapon without your affinity." Naruto looked shocked that his weapon was legendary. "What do you mean by legendary? Do you recall the story of my immortality?" Naruto nodded. "Yay, you tried to rob a light mage's tomb. The spirit felt your intent and cursed you with immortality." Daku nodded at Naruto's explanation. "Yes, that is correct, but there was a specific reason I chose to find and rob Ciroluz's tomb." Daku then looked at Naruto's greatsword. Legends say that Ciroluz saved the world from the wrath of the dragon god by wielding a giant blade blessed by the god who rules the wind. A sword which can create tornadoes and hurricanes with just a swing. A blade which can harm a god. "This is the blade I was looking for, boy, the Greatsword of Aeolus." "Wait, what? Are you saying I wield the blade of a legendary mage who has saved the world from a dragon god?" Naruto said in disbelief. He stared at the supposed legendary blade. It has a gold scabbard and blade that look to be made of an ancient stone. But that means good craftsmanship, not it being legendary. You having it would mean that this was Ciroluz's soul weapon and you're his reincarnation. Naruto became even more shocked than he was before. "I'm his reincarnation." Daku just rubbed his pinky inside his ear. "Geez kid, any more and I'll become deaf." "Yes, I believe you're his reincarnation, it'll explain why your soul weapon is the same as him," explained Daku. "You Daku interrupted what Naruto was going to say. "You don't know what reincarnation mean, don't you?" Naruto shook his head, causing him to sigh. "Reincarnation means the rebirth of a soul in a new body. You are the legendary light mage Ciroluz in some way." "Cool. So I'm kin to Ciroluz, who was he by the way?" Naruto asked sheepishly, causing Daku to face fault. Daku punched him on top of his head. "You don't know who Ciroluz is? The man who saved the world from enslavement." Naruto just shook his head. Daku just sighed and began to tell the tale. Long ago, dragons ruled Earthland and hunted humans as sources of food. A faction of dragons wished to live side by side with humans, while the other faction wished to keep them as a source of food. The disagreement between the two got so severe it began a civil war. Those who were pro-human were outnumbered by the anti-human group, so they decided to teach some humans their magic, Dragonslayer magic. This was successful at first, until those Dragonslayers turned on the dragons who taught them the magic. A mage named Acnologia bathed in the blood of the dragon he killed and turned to dragon himself. He killed every dragon, friend or foe. His onslaught of the dragon brought the attention of a powerful dragon, the dragon god. He came down from the god's plane, defeated and caused Acnologia to retreat, turning the tides of the war. The other gods were angered by his decision, so they chose a champion to kill the dragon god. They chose a mage with the purest soul they ever witnessed. Aeolus, the ruler of the wind, blessed this mage with a giant blade that had the ability to kill a god. Ciroluz traveled to the kingdom of dragons to battle the dragon god. The dragon laughed at the human until he saw him cut down some of his dragon followers. Angrily he came out his castle and attacked Ciro. It was said they fought for 7 days and 7 nights until Ciro came out victorious by piercing the heart of the dragon god. Naruto was in awe hearing the story of Ciroluz. That was only his early life. When he was older, he used his power to defeat the tailed demons. Daku said to the amazed Naruto. "Whoa, this Ciro was able to defeat demons like Kyuubi. Hey, don't undermine me. He just had magic that was able to suppress demons," yelled Kyuubi from inside his mind. "What the hell? Kyuubi, are you talking from inside my head? Don't get the wrong idea, human, I only connected your senses with mine so I wouldn't be bored here," Kyuubi said before going to sleep. Naruto sighed and gave Daku his attention. "So why can't I hold this weapon up?" Its response to the user's affinity, legends say he used some kind of wind magic, so all we have to do is start your training. Naruto agreed. Daku and him stood up and began working on training. Flashback end. Naruto appearance changed over the year. His face lost all its baby fat and he let his hair grow out to his shoulders. Naruto now wore a black long sleeveless shirt with a red short-sleeved trench coat that reached his knees. He also had black cargo pants tucked in his black boots. On the back of trench coat, he had the kanji for ruler of wind. Daku wore the same clothes as the day they met. Black cloak, black pants, and black boots. This time he kept his hood off to show his face. He had the face of a 20-year-old. He had brown hair that covered his forehead, dull gray eyes that looked lifeless, and a muscular jawline that made him a catch to the ladies. "Boy, I have something to tell you," Deku said as he looked at Naruto solemnly. "What is it, sensei?" Naruto asked, confused from his teacher's look. "We're done with your training." Naruto's eyes widened when he realized what it meant. "And know what about my emotions? I can only use about 4 taels of Kyuubi's power." Deku just shook his head. "Boy, you'll be able to access more if you lose your innocence. To completely lose it, you'll have to take a life." Deku looked sad when he saw the tears in the corner of Naruto's eyes. "Sensei, I see can't. You have to, we made a deal," Deku said seriously. But Naruto was interrupted by concentrated blasts of wind head toward him. Wind manipulation. Wind bullets. Naruto dodged them narrowly. "Fine then. We'll make this your final test. We're going to fight to the death." Wind manipulation. 100 wind blades. Deku yelled as he solidified the wind around him to blades and launched them toward him. He dodged most of them, but some hit him and left cuts around his body. "Those are warning shots. I won't hesitate to kill you, and you shouldn't me. If you wish to control your emotions, you have to let go of our bond and kill me." Deku yelled before created more wind blades, these being bigger in size. Deku launched the blades. Naruto didn't attempt to dodge, instead he began to rotate. Wind manipulation. Gyrosphere. A dome made of rapid wind formed around him, stopping the blades from hitting him. The sphere diminished and there stood Naruto with his eyes shadowed. "I accepted this power to protect those I care about. Even though you tried to distance yourself from forming a bond with me, you became dear to me, and I can tell I became important to you too. I don't want to kill you, but I'll free you from your curse, even if I'm cursed with the nightmares," Naruto said as he showed the tears falling from his eyes. Naruto put his arms in front of him and yelled. Wind manipulation. Max pressure blast. A magic circle appeared in front of him and shot a huge blast of wind. Deku dodged by using his magic to fly. Naruto quickly followed by also flying and tried to punch him with a wind-powered fist. Deku caught his fist with his wind-powered hand. Deku put his palm on his chest and said. Wind manipulation. Gravitational pressure. A powerful pressure fell on Naruto as he crashed down the floor. Naruto looked up from his crater and saw Deku bring together clouds. Wind manipulation was not the only magic I know. Lightning magic. Lighting shower. Lightning bolts came rushing toward the down Naruto. He quickly changed to his demon form. Kyuubi Soul. 4 tails. Naruto used his 4 tails to take the majority of the damage. "So you're finally trying, huh?" Deku said as he looked down at the transformed Naruto. Naruto uncovered himself to show his demonized self. Instead of his sun-kissed blonde hair, he had crimson-red hair flowing freely in the air that matched his eyes. His lower face was covered by a mask that resembles the Kyuubi's sharp teeth. He didn't wear anything on his upper body, leaving him shirtless. On his arms he had black and red gauntlets that had the appearance of claws. His 4 giant crimson tails moved freely out of his black pants. He stood there shoeless. Naruto didn't say nothing and launched himself at Deku and went for an attack. Deku dodged it, but Naruto didn't stop. He solidified the air and launched himself again toward Deku, who couldn't dodge this time. He brought the fight back to a field. Deku tried to go back toward the air, but one of Naruto's tails grabbed his ankle and slammed him on the floor. "Ah, you came a long way, boy," Deku thought before being thrown across the field. Deku summoned his soul blade and went on offensive. Windraid, Swift Strike Dance. Deku attacked in such high speed which Naruto used his enhanced speed to narrowly dodge each strike. Kyuubi jumped back and puffed his cheeks and yelled. Demon Breath. Demonic energy shot out of his masked mouth which split open toward Deku. Deku stood completely still and to Naruto's shock, he cut the demonic energy in half. Windraid, 0 point. Deku said quietly. He then looked at Naruto. Surprised. My blade is able to cut through everything, including magic. Damn it. If what he says is true, I'm screwed. This form has reached its limit, I think I'll fight him with my blade instead. Naruto returned back to his human form and summoned his greatsword. His sword has been easier to wield ever since he became more powerful in wind manipulation. He was able to wield with one hand if you believe it. Naruto ran toward Deku and attempted a strike. Deku dodged and went for a counter, which Naruto used his greatsword to block. Naruto pushed him away and pulled his sword back. Great Wind Slash. Naruto swung forward shooting a huge wave of wind toward the helpless Deku. He went flying crashing into a giant rock. Ah! Deku yelped in pain as he broke a couple of ribs. Naruto ran toward Deku with his blade pointing at him. Deku closed his eyes waiting for his fate, but it didn't come. I'm sorry but I can't. Naruto cried as he dropped his weapon. Deku smiled at Naruto, he put his sword in Naruto and pushed himself toward the blade to Naruto's shock. Sensei. Naruto yelled as he threw the blade to the side and held Deku up. Why would you do that? I'm sorry, but that was the only way to be free, you had to kill me. Deku said as he looked up at Naruto. He reached up and tapped on Naruto's head. Naruto felt a huge headache as memories of Deku's past invaded his mind. The sudden intake of so many years of memory was too much for Naruto, so he fell into unconsciousness. I'm sorry but you can use the knowledge I gave you, Deku said as he began caressing Naruto's cheek. Become strong, and Naruto, Deku said as he passed on with a smile. 5 hours later. Sensei. Naruto yelled as he woke up. He looked to the side and saw the peaceful face of his sensei. He dug his sensei a grave and set him gently in. I dreaded this day, sensei. I know it was your wish to die, but I still hated it. Naruto said as he put a white rose on his gravestone. Tears began to fall as they fell on Deku's gravestone and the rose Naruto set up. I hope you don't mind if I cry for you. Naruto dropped to his knees and wept the passing of his sensei and his brother. End. Chapter 5. Phantom Lord. A shout out to Anime World, I told you I'll do it. XD. Begin. 2 years have passed. 2 years without the presence of both Naruto and Lisanna really took a toll on the guild, especially on Mira. She lost her will to fight, so she took the role as Fairy Tail's barmaid. Her personality became more caring toward her guildmates after losing her sister and the way she treated Naruto. She also changed her appearance, instead of her black top and skirt, she wore a maroon dress. She was currently watching over the injured Team Shadow Gear due to their injuries from Phantom Lord's Ace, Black Steel Gagil Red Fox. I hope everyone is okay. Mira said with a worried expression. She stared at the window. As she stared out the window, a cloaked man caught her attention. He was walking down the street with a giant sword wrapped with white bandage tape. She stared at him for a while before he took a turn into a valley and disappeared from her. He seemed familiar. 2 hours later. 2 hours later the group that went to Phantom Lord Guild buildings returned. They looked tired and beaten, but most demoralized. Makarov was sent to Perusica to recovery after losing his abilities to wield magic. Currently we find Mira trying to talk to Laxus. Laxus, we need you back in the guild, Master was wounded during battle with Phantom Lord. Mira asked Laxus. Haha, the old man got hurt, so why is this my problem? Asked Laxus with a smug. Phantom Lord targeting Lucy, one of our guildmates. Mira pleaded. Oh, the big-breasted blonde, if she becomes my girl I'll help. Also tell my grandfather to step down as guildmaster before he could finish his rant. Mira crushed the lacrima they were talking from. How can such a man be in our guild? Mira said with tears running down her eyes. Next time I'll join to help. No, you won't be able to help in your current condition, even though you were S-class mage once. Kana said as she looked at Mira. Don't worry Mira, I'll continue trying to contact Mystigan. Kana said, which Mira just smiled and was going to return to her duties, but the ground began to shake. The whole guild ran outside and found a giant castle walking toward them. The giant guild had 6 mechanical legs that walked through the ocean, causing miniature earthquakes by every step it took. The rest of the guild watched in shock that Phantom Lord would go that far to attack them. Urza ran out with only a towel covering herself, she looked with a shocked expression as well. I did think they would go this far. To their fears, a wall in front of the guild slid down and showed a giant cannon. The cannon began powering up in the head of the contraption and formed a ball of condensed magic energy. Urza realized what was going on, so she ran in front of her guildmates and changed into her adamantine armor, her strongest defense armor. Everybody take cover. Urza yelled at her comrades. Is she planning to take the blast head on? Mira said as she covered her mouth. Urza. Natsu tried to run and stop Urza, but Gray was holding him back. Let go Ice Pop, I need to save Urza. Stop it Flame Brain, she knows what she's doing. Gray said back. The cannon finished powering up and fired the magical energy. Urza stood her ground and put her shield in front of her, she closed her eyes awaiting the deadly blast, but it never came. Urza and the rest of the guild looked up and found themselves surrounded by a dome of wind. What's going on? Asked Lucy. Mira was thinking the same until she saw the cloaked figure in front of Urza, with his bandaged right hand sticking out in front of him. Who are you? Asked Urza. The cloaked figure turned around and took off his hood showing his wild blonde hair. Most of the guild looked shocked to see the mystery man. It's good to see you too, Urza-chan. Naruto said with a smile. But what everyone including Mira were more focused on was his eyes. The once bright cerulean blue eyes that shined with warmth now looked dull and colder. Naruto, when did you return? Asked Urza. Naruto looked at Urza and the rest of the guild, he then connected eyes with Mira. Her eyes looked hopeful, but Naruto couldn't handle it, so he looked away. I came back after I heard rumors that Phantom Lord attacked Fairy Tail and hospitalized 2 members. Naruto, did you create this dome? Asked Kana. Yay, it's one of the only spell which could withstand the Jupiter cannon. Naruto said as the dome began to disappear. He turned his attention back to Phantom Lord Guild building. How dare you intervene in my affairs, who do you think you are? Oze said through his speakers. Who do I think I am? I am the shield and sword that will defend and attack for those I hold dear. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the Wind Demon. Naruto announced himself, shocking everyone including Oze. They all heard of the independent mage who has been eliminating dark guilds in an extraordinary rate. His achievements got the attention of many light guilds who tried to recruit him but can never find him. Mermaid Heel even offered him to join as the first male member, sadly they never got a response. Naruto, you're the Wind Demon, thought Urza and most of the guild. Wind Demon, why would such a mage side with Fairy Tail instead of siding with us? Oze asked, cursing himself for stuttering. Naruto began to unwrap his right hand and showed his orange Fairy Tail stamp. You're a member of this pathetic guild. Fine, you will die with them. In 15 minutes Jupiter Cannon will fire again, so quiver in fear for your demise. Oze yelled from inside his guild. 15 minutes, I'll destroy in 5. Naruto yelled as he turned to the rest of the guild. I'll take care of Oze, but I don't want any interference in our fight. I need Black Steel Gagiel and Oze's Element 4 taken care of. So who's up for the challenge? Urza, Elfman, Natsu, Happy on his shoulder, Gray and Lucy stepped forward. Lucy, they're after you, we can't let you go. Mira said to Lucy. Lucy pleaded to Mira to let her fight, but Mira kept denying. Naruto thought Lucy's ambition to help them was sort of admirable until he remembered that same drive when he fought the beast. Earlier to stay here, I don't want you to get in our way. Naruto said coldly. Naruto then turned around and started flying in the air. Your blind ambition will lead to the downfall of you and your comrades. Alright everyone, let's go. Naruto said as he took off. Gray froze the water and ran through it with Elfman and Urza following him. Natsu had Happy use his wings to take him. Naruto used his wind manipulation magic to take of the shadowed figures ahead of him. Phantom Lord. Naruto used the cannon to infiltrate the walking guild. He came in contact with a giant lacrima that was gathering magic. Naruto figured it was the Jupiter Cannon, so he went to destroy it, but Naruto jumped back dodging a fireball. Naruto turned and found a young man with long two-toned hair of black and white that is tied up into a Japanese-style top knot on the back of his head. He is garbed in a ninja-like attire consisting of a long orange-reddish guy-like cloth, held closed by a black belt, with prominent reddish fur around the collar, and with the sides being made of thick fishnet, with other, looser fishnet appearing on his forearms, with his robe sleeves being rolled up. His attire is completed by a simple shirt appearing from under his guy, and a pair of loose black pants tucked inside simple black boots. He also carries around a simple katana strapped to his left hip. You're fast, Wind Demon. But you will not defeat me, the Great Fire. Totemaru of the Conflagration. Totemaru said with arrogance in his voice. Totemaru sent an orange fireball at Naruto, but it dissipated before reaching Naruto. Totemaru looked shocked for what happened. What the hell happened? I control the wind, including the oxygen in the air. Naruto said as he made the air denser. Totemaru got on his, gasping for air. Naruto stood in front of him and grabbed his chin, forcing him to look at him. Unlucky you, I became your opponent. Wind manipulation. 1,000 blades of death. Cries of pain and pleas of death were heard throughout the room. 1 minute later. When the group arrived, they were shocked in what they found. Naruto stood over Totemaru, who was unconscious with cuts around his whole body and lacrima shards littering the floor. What happened here? Asked a shocked Urza. He stood in my way. Naruto said casually. That Urza began but was interrupted by Naruto. Sent his vows Levent, Naruto said as his turned into a light gray. He looked up, having his eyes return back to his dull blue. Oze is the second to last floor. Gray, I want you to take care of the water mage who's in the left wing of the guild since you have an advantage. Elfman, go to the right wing, your best choice in victory is fighting earth mage. Urza, you'll take the wind mage and Natsu will take on the Dragon Slayer. Gagiel is Phantom Lord's ace, he's too strong. Urza argued. Urza, I know Gagiel is strong, but I believe Natsu is as strong or even stronger. Naruto said with a smile. Naruto became alert when he felt the guild shifting. We better hurry, Oze is up to something. Naruto before Urza, Natsu and him ran up the stairway. Elsewhere in the castle. Gagiel, I need you to capture Hertfilia. Gagiel just nodded and was going to head out but was stopped. Do it fast, I may need your help against the Wind Demon. Master, I doubt he's as strong as the rumors say. He's as strong as they say he is, I just knowed. Oze said with a faraway look. What makes you so sure? Gagiel asked. Because he uses his magic. Oze said with a little fear when he said the word his. Oze didn't appear to be able to answer any more questions, so Gagiel went after Lucy. Akus Del. Naruto, Happy, Natsu and Urza were running across a hallway until Naruto felt a disturbance in the air. Naruto stopped and turned around, coming face to face with a mage with all green clothes. He is an extremely tall and massive man with tanned skin. He's covered by a large, loose green coat sporting wide edges, which is closed around his neck, sporting a wide and high collar, but left open on the front below it, revealing a pale red, similarly loose and ruffled pale red shirt, with its high collar, split in 3 horizontal straps circling Arya's neck, being held closed by an equal amount of buttons, one for each strap. "So you were able to sense me, even with my airspace magic, impressive wind demon," the mage said. "I am the great sky Arya of the heavens. So if you were here ready to ambush us and drain our magic here, then that means Oze Porla is just ahead," Naruto said, pointing at the end of the hallway. "It doesn't matter because you will never make it to our master, so sorrowful," Arya said as he began to cry. Arya then found it harder to breathe, he clutched his throat as he stared at Naruto. "Your control of the air is pathetic compared to mine, sorrowfully you won't be fighting me," he said as him and Natsu began running down the corridor. Arya was going to stop him, but Urza stood in his way. "You're going to fight me?" Urza said as she drew her blade. "I'll need to finish this fast if I want to help Naruto." Arya just nodded and took off the blindfold, causing a disturbance in the air. They were both about to fight, but they didn't notice an eyeball watching them. "I want to see how strong you are, Arya. If I find you worthy, I'll make you my subordinate," thought Naruto. Naruto, Happy and Natsu kept running until they heard the voice of Oze through the speakers. "I have successfully recaptured Lucy Hertfilia," Oze yelled. "Ah." The voice of Lucy Hertfilia was heard through the speakers. Naruto's eyes turned light gray again. Naruto turned to Natsu, who looked ready to rip someone apart. "She's with the other Dragon Slayer room on top of us." Natsu nodded and used his fire magic to shoot himself up to rescue Lucy. Well, we're alone at last, Wind Demon," Oze said as he walked out in the open. "Now tell me, how are you able to use the magic of the god of the North Wind?" Oze yelled. "He taught it to me," Naruto said. "If he taught you then that would mean you," Oze widened his eyes at Naruto. "You were the one he spoke of." "You met him before?" asked a surprised Naruto. 22 years ago, he took me as his student and taught me the magic I use, yet he never taught me his wind manipulation magic. He told me I wasn't worthy. He's the reason I'm at where I am now." Oze then glared at Naruto. "Now boy, show me the power he bestowed on you." Naruto nodded and they both ran toward each other. Naruto vs Oze. Wind manipulation. Wind blades. Naruto solidified the air to form 2 blades, he kept trying to hit Oze, but with his surprising reflexes, he dodged all the attacks. Oze jumped back and used his Shade's magic to form lightning, which he sent toward using his speed to dodge the lightning, and puffed his cheeks to use his spell. Wind bullets. Naruto spat out concentrated blasts of wind toward Oze. Oze formed ghostly soldiers which stood in front of him and took most of the damage. The ghosts were destroyed before reforming themselves. Oze sent his minions to attack Naruto, but Naruto quickly put his hands forward. Oze, seeing what was coming, tried to dodge but was too late. Max pressure blast. Oze was thrown back and hit a pillar. Naruto wanted to take the opportunity and attack, but saw a tentacle grab his right leg. He turns and finds one of Oze's ghost soldiers. The ghost throws Naruto throws him to the wall to left of them, breaking a few ribs. Oze then moved his hand in an arc. Burn in hell. Dark pulse. A huge explosion consumed Naruto in a field of darkness magic. Oze, though, it was over when he dodged a red tail. Kyuubi soul. 4-tail. Naruto stood in his 4-tail form, glaring daggers at Oze. Naruto crouched before he used his immense speed to shoot himself toward Oze. Oze jumped back to dodge an incoming punch, but he was pulled back by one of Naruto's tails, which grabbed his abdomen area. Naruto punched him, breaking his nose, shooting toward the wall again. Naruto was going to continue his onslaught but was interrupted by an angelic voice. "Naruto." Naruto turned around and came in contact with Elfman, Urza, Gray and Mira. Naruto just stared at Mira, not realizing a certain demon laughing in his head. Naruto then began to clutch his head as memories began to appear in his head. The beast, Lysanda dying, Mira's words, all these events made him feel different emotions, mostly sadness and agony. Naruto's mindscape. "No matter how much you try to hide your pain, it will always be there," said the voice Kyuubi within his head. "Stop it, Kyuubi. When you show that pain, I will take advantage," Kyuubi said with a smirk. Naruto then found himself underwater, chained down, watching a projection of the outside world. Outside the mindscape. "Naruto!" screamed Mira as she tried to get close to him but couldn't because of the energy he was radiating. "Naruto, what's going on?" thought Urza. "Aghhh." Naruto roared in a demonic voice. His skin began to burn off and turn into a blackish red substance. He took the form of a fox made of pure energy. The demonized Naruto turned his attention back to Oze, who stood up. "Don't think our battle is over yet, brat. Fear my strongest spell, Dead Wave." Oze stuck out his right arm and shot a huge beam of darkness. Naruto used his tails to defend against the beam, leaving him without harm. That was my strongest spell. Oze couldn't say anything else because his windpipe was crushed by Naruto's claw which extended toward Oze and grabbed his neck. Oze felt his neck was being burned by the demon. "Naruto, stop!" yelled Urza, but stopped when the demonized Naruto turned to Urza and the other fairy tale mages. Naruto began to walk toward the group slowly. Mira looked completely terrified at Naruto. "Mindscape. Kyuubi, stop. I beg you, don't hurt them." Naruto yelled as he struggled to break the chains. A tentacle made of dark energy wrapped around his neck and began choking him. "You don't like being chained, brat, well see what I've dealt with for years," Kyuubi said as he tightened his hold on Naruto. "I think you had your fun, Kyuubi, it's time you go back to sleep," said a familiar voice. Naruto quickly turned around and found Deku standing in front of the energy Kyuubi with his right hand sticking out. "I'm going to devour your soul." Kyuubi didn't finish because Deku used a spell to suppress the demon. He walked up to Naruto and broke the chains with his magic, causing him to return normal in the outside world but fall unconscious. Deku was going to say something but couldn't because Naruto jumped up and hugged him. Deku smiled and hugged him back. "It's good to see you too," Deku said. Naruto pulled back from the hug and looked at Deku with teary eyes. "I miss so much, sensei." "Huh, I was trying to keep it a strict teacher and student relationship. I didn't want you to miss me, but it couldn't be helped." Naruto wiped his eyes and nodded. "Sensei, I couldn't keep control of my emotions, I was going to hurt my friends." "Kid, yes you have power, but power is different from strength. You lost control to Kyuubi because you weren't strong enough to control your emotions," Deku said sadly. "Naruto, I don't have much time, so I'll tell you what I couldn't earlier. There is a dark mage who rivals me in power. His name is Dante Miswire, or by the moniker he was given, Demombled. He's been dormant for years, but it only supports my suspicions, he's planning something. If you ever meet a man with golden eyes and pale hair, don't challenge him and run," Deku said seriously. "But don't challenge and run, do I make myself clear?" Naruto saw the seriousness in his eyes, so he nodded. Deku's body began to glow. "Well good, well it seems my time is up, Naruto. You'll be able to wake up now. Oh, and it seems when you fell unconscious, Makarov came and used fairy law to defeat the already beaten Oze. You should wake up in the guild's infirmary. Kid, I know what you're thinking, but you will have to use that power in the future. Keep making me proud and find a nice in the future, you're too uptight." Deku laughed when he saw Naruto's blushing face. Deku then pulled Naruto into a hug. "Goodbye little brother, and remember, I'll always be proud of you." Deku then disappeared with those words. "Thank you big brother," Naruto said with a smile. Outside the mindscape. After Naruto regained control and fell unconscious, Makarov arrived and defeated the injured Oze. He and the group then took Naruto to Fairy Tail's infirmary. Mira volunteered to watch over Naruto. As she watched, she couldn't help but cry from watching his sleeping face. "I can't help but feel bad for what I did for you, but it doesn't mean I have stopped hating you. I don't understand my feelings," Mira thought as she stroked Naruto's cheek. She fell asleep on her chair next to Naruto's bed later on. 4 hours later. It was late at night when Naruto woke up from his sleep. He looked around and found a sleeping Mira next to his bed. He stared at her face and smiled when he saw drool on the corner of her lips. "Cute." Naruto stood up and attempted to escape by going through the window, but was stopped by the man that saved him from hatred. "You know, when someone helps you, you're supposed to thank them," Makarov said from the doorway. Naruto turned around and faced Makarov. "Come to my office, let's have a talk." End. Chapter 6. The Talk. I would like to respond to the nice guest who left a review on my chapter. In the anime and manga of Naruto, he took 3 years to have some control of 3 tails, so why is hard to believe Naruto still has problems with his emotions. Second, I thought it was obvious, but to my fellow viewers, Deku is a character I created for this story. Third, so because in my summary I said he was going to be a gray Naruto, does it mean he had to be like that from the beginning? Naruto cannot show any glimmer of emotions just because I described him as gray. Emotions is what makes him human, my reviewing guest. He's not dark because he isn't consumed with hate, and he isn't light because of the mental issues he's dealing with. Thank you for the reviews, my fellow readers, and if you have any problems, review or PM me and I may answer. Begin. The moon shined down, reflecting on the crystal blue river. Next to the river walked 2 figures late this night. One was a tall cloaked figure and the other was a short elderly man dressed in his pajamas. Magnolia Street's empty, leaving the 2 figures to talk. "So master, what did you want to talk about?" Naruto said as he stopped in front of him, staring down at Makarov. Naruto, known to be impatient, broke the silence. "We don't see each in 2 years and you don't even want to enjoy my acquaintance," Makarov said with a smile. Naruto didn't respond, just kept his gaze at Makarov. "So what happened to the cocky loud knucklehead I raised?" Makarov asked rhetorically. "So how have you been, Naruto, you met any cute girls?" Makarov asked with a perverse giggle. "I've been fine, master, and no, I didn't," Naruto answered. Makarov sighed by the emotionless tone the child he practically raised had. "You know, things changed since you left, especially regarding Mira," Makarov said, gaining Naruto's attention. Naruto, thinking back to Mira's words, expected the change to be good. "How so?" asked Naruto sarcastically. "She changed completely, since Lisana's death and your disappearance, she became more caring toward her guildmates," Makarov said. "She retired from taking missions and took the role as Fairy Tail's barmaid. So I was the reason she lost her will to fight," Naruto stated. "I took away her sister and her dream to be Fairy Tail's strongest female mage. Naruto, her dream was to keep her family safe and she feels she failed when she lost Lisana and you," Makarov said, but Naruto practically ignored him because he felt he was responsible. "So where you been these 2 years?" "Training." Naruto glanced to the side. Makarov's sweat dropped by the vague answer. "You know, some of the mages like Urza and Natsu been looking for you every time they had the chance," Makarov said. He saw that Naruto wasn't affected by that, so he went for his next question. "By the magic I saw you use, I presume it was with the god of the north wind, Daku Estel. Am I correct?" Naruto's gaze returned to Makarov as he began to explain. "I know of him because I fought him before. It was about 50 years ago when I accepted the 100-year mission of capturing the SS-class mage, Daku Estel. A group was formed to capture him, yet, once they felt the power he radiated, they ran for the hills, leaving me to fight him alone. I was at my prime, yet I could not lay one scratch on him." Makarov then had a faraway look. "I lay defeated under his mercy. I closed my eyes waiting for death, but it never arrived. Instead he used his healing magic to heal my wounds and left before saying words I never forgot." Naruto stayed quiet because he saw that memory already. He saw the fight between him and Makarov and was baffled. Makarov's power was incredible, yet it was not enough to even land a hit on Daku. His sensei was incredible in his opinion and wondered why held back so much. He said. Flashback. Makarov laid on the floor, sporting multiple cuts and bruises. Internally having several broken bones and torn muscles. He only had his trousers, which appeared to be tears. The rest of his clothes were ripped and rags left on the floor. Makarov looked up and stared at the eyes of his possible executioner. Makarov just stared at Daku's eyes before closing his, awaiting the cruel grasp of death. He waited for a couple of minutes, but it never came. Instead, he felt his energy returning to him. He opened his eyes and saw Daku kneeled in front of him, healing the wounds he gave to Makarov. "Others who took the same quest as you and faced the same fate as you, groveled under my feet, begging for their pathetic lives, yet, you stand in my way to protect those who left you behind and accept the fate of death wholeheartedly. Your conviction is admiring, and I can tell you will teach those in the future generation the same teaching, so I let you keep your life." Daku stood up and began to walk away into the woods. He stopped and looked at him again. "Tell me your name." Makarov Dreher," Makarov said, semi-conscious from the floor. "I will remember your name, Makarov Dreher," Daku said with a smile before leaving Makarov. Makarov watched as the figure of the most wanted man in Fiori disappear into the woods. Flashback end. "Though I don't agree with his way of killing, his honor and integrity is admiring. I've respected him since that day," Makarov said before asking. "So how is he?" "He's dead," Naruto said, showing no emotion. Makarov was in complete shock. Daku's supposedly immortality wasn't really a secret. After one of the god of Ishgar and Daku encountered each other in Oak Town. Their fight wasn't in any chance under the radar. Most of the townsfolk evacuated, but some mages who was able to keep conscious under the extreme power of the two mages stayed out of the fight and witnessed the fight. The conclusion was that Daku retreated before any more of the four gods of Ishgar could come, and the one who fought Daku was on his knees exhausted. The witnesses told reporters that the wanted mage was hit with attacks that were fatal to normal humans and even decapitated, yet he did not die. The reporters posted the information of his immortality into the newspaper. "How's it possible? He was supposed to be immortal," asked Makarov in shock. "He was, but a prophecy told him that the only way to die was by the hands of a child with a pure soul," Naruto said without revealing any emotions. "Naruto, did you kill him?" Makarov asked seriously. Naruto didn't say a word, just gave a slight nod. "Naruto, was he dear to you?" "He was just my sensei," Naruto said, trying to hide any emotion, but his eyes said different. "Naruto, tell me the truth, you try to hide your emotions, but I can see it in your eyes. Was he dear to you?" Makarov asked again. "He just taught me, damn it," Naruto said, a little more aggregated. "Naruto. What the hell do you want me to say?" Naruto yelled as tears fell down his eyes. Do you want me tell you how I look up to him, how he gave me the power I need to protect my friends, how he's like a brother to me? Naruto fell to his knees. Makarov went up to him and grabbed him into a hug. Naruto, he would be proud of you if he was here. I hate it so much, I hate the pain I feel after losing him. Naruto mumbled from Makarov's shoulder. It's the cruel curse that comes from the emotion of love. Love gives you so much pleasure and happiness, yet when you lose it, it's the most painful feeling in the world. Makarov told him. They stayed like that for a few minutes. Naruto couldn't accept that though. He witnessed the death of a girl he saw as a sister and killed the man he saw as a brother. He didn't want to bear this excruciatingly pain anymore, then it came to him. How to escape this pain? I have to use the forbidden, Naruto thought before being interrupted by the voice of Makarov. Naruto, did he also teach you how to wield Kyuubi's demonic magic? Makarov asked as he backed away from Naruto to stare at his eyes. Naruto wiped his eyes and nodded. What happened at the Phantom Lord building? Makarov asked. I arrived in the conclusion of your battle, I saw how you were able to hold 4 tails of its power, then lose control when you saw Mira. The Kyuubi flashed memories of what happened on the day Lisanda died to weaken my control over my emotions, so he can take over. Once I lost control, he took it as an advantage to take control of my body. Naruto said. I was going to harm Mira and the others if it wasn't for Sensei's fail-safe seal. He had a seal strong enough to suppress Kyuubi's power, other than the Reaper Dead seal. Makarov asked confused. Yay, he used his soul as the base of the seal. Naruto said with hints of pride. Naruto still felt sick of the events that could have transpired if it wasn't for his sensei. Naruto. You don't have to say anything, I never want to use his power again. Naruto said, spitting the word his with so much detest. You say that now, kid, but you can't deny that my power is thrilling. Said Kyuubi from within his head. Naruto, not wanting to deal with him, just ignored his remark. Naruto, great power comes with great responsibility. There may be a day where you will be forced to use that power. Makarov lectured. Naruto tried to argue, but Makarov beat him to it. You were trained by one of history's strongest mage, a fluffy fox won't be able to stop you from achieving your dream. Tell that old midget that I'm going to rip him to pieces, eat his corpse and shit him out on the ashes of his precious guild. Ranted the furious demon fox because of the comment Makarov made. Naruto ignored those specific details. So what do you plan to do now, Naruto? You've been missed since you disappeared 2 years ago, are you finally going to stay? No, even though you tried to justify it, I almost hurt Mira and the others. Naruto said as he stood up. I believe it would be safer if I stay away from Fairy Tail. Naruto, stop acting like an idiot. Do you know how much the others miss you? For 2 years they haven't stopped looking for you. Makarov argued. Don't try to change my mind, my decision is final. Naruto said seriously. Naruto turned to walk away but looked over his shoulders as Makarov grasped it with a giant hand. You think running away is the answer to your problems? You're taking the coward's way out, Naruto. Makarov said. Mira won't like this one bit, you know. She's going to hunt you down for your stupidity. Naruto pushed Makarov's hand away from his shoulders and walked away. Maybe, but she won't be able to find me. Naruto's body faded away into the wind. Makarov just stared at the empty space Naruto stood at and just shook his head. He knew that Naruto still would be as stubborn as he was before. You act more mature now, but you're still an idiot. Unknown location. Where the hell is Naruto-sama? Yelled a feminine voice. She sounded irritated being inside a room for so long. He was supposed to be here 2 hours ago. You know, for a girl your age, you're quite loud. It brings great sorrow to see what have come to today's youth. Cried Arya. After Urza defeated him, he was left on the floor near unconsciousness. Naruto appeared and healed his wounds. He told him that the destruction of Phantom Lord was inevitable. Naruto offered him everything he ever wanted if he joined him. Arya refused at first until Naruto offered him what he desired most. Flashback. Sorry, Wind Demon, but I will have to refuse. I swore my loyalty to Master Oze. Said Arya as he stood up. Why have you swore your loyalty to a man who throws you to the side when you're no longer any use to him? Asked a confused Naruto. I used to be a frail weak man who witnessed his wife and son before Master Oze found me. He trained me to use the power I didn't realize I had. He promised me that if I serve him, he will help me find those who killed my family. How long have you served him? Naruto asked. I served him for 5 years now. Arya said and got an unexpected response. Naruto put his hand over his left eye and began to laugh. His laughter sounding more cruel than genuine. You fool, he been playing you all this time. Ha ha ha. Naruto continued to laugh, angering Arya. He was going to attack but felt an ominous feeling coming from his master's chamber. You feel it, don't you? The feeling of hatred and anger. My real body has lost control of the demon he holds within. The Naruto clone said as he stared at the shaking Arya. I could guarantee you the heads of those who took your family away. I'll give you power that will cause those to tremble under your presence. The clone reached out his hand toward Arya. Do you accept my offer? Yes. Arya grabbed the clone's hand and both of them disappeared to the hideout. Flashback end. I will have my vengeance, Aration says. Arya was taken out of his thoughts by an impatient 15-year-old girl. Why did Naruto even allowed you to join us? You're probably weak. Minerva sang out from a couch inside the room. Minerva is a slim young woman of average height distinguished by her Eastern look. Her long, straight and glossy purple hair, reaching down to her lower back, well mostly left loose, being parted in the middle of her forehead and sporting two bangs framing her face and going down below her shoulders. Her hair is also tied into a pair of bun-shaped loops at both sides of her head. And a braid is present some inches below each of such loops. She wore a long-sleeve peach blouse with a V-neck, exposing some of her blossoming cleavage. She had tight black pants that reached her shins and wore black sandals. You know it's rude to insult your future partner, Minerva. Naruto said, appearing in midair. Naruto-sama. Minerva yelled, sporting a blush seeing the man she admired deeply. She met Naruto a year ago while training with her father. She was told to strip her clothes and walk back alone through the woods. Naruto was passing by and saw the way her father treated her. Flashback. That's no way to treat your child. Said a cloaked Naruto who was walking out the woods. This is none of your concern, stranger. I strongly recommend you to walk away. Roared the voice of Jima. He tried to intimidate the cloaked figure, but he became the one intimidated after he saw his eyes. You remind so much of them. Naruto said as his now slitted gray eyes glared at Jima. Jima, being tired of the cloaked figure, conducted energy to his right arm forward, causing the spot Naruto was standing at to glow and cause an explosion. The SSH weak. Jima said before turning away from the smoking area and returned to his daughter's training. He turned around and found Naruto crouching in front of Minerva and healing her wounds. The wounds, the cruelty and you give and severe punishment, you're exactly like them. Naruto disappeared from his spot and appeared in front of Jima and went for a punch. Jima blocked the attack with his forearm. Someone as weak as you actually can pack a punch, but it wasn't enough. Jima said with a smirk, but was confused by the smirk on Naruto's face. Your cockiness is your downfall. Naruto tapped Jima's stomach with his free palm. A seal appeared on his stomach. Naruto jumped back and called out his spell. Lightning magic. Lightning mark attraction. Before Jima could react, dark clouds formed and a huge bolt of lightning came down and hit Jima directly. Ah! Jima cried in pain as the giant bolt hit Jima. After it died down, Jima was on the floor with severe burns, unconscious. Naruto walked up to him and stared down with a disgusted look. Pathetic, you act cocky and underestimate me not knowing my capabilities. I will not take your life because that will be the job of your daughter the next time you both meet. Naruto turned and walked to the shaking Minerva. Girl, I will not force you to leave if you don't wish to, but my offer is that you come and join me in my travels. Naruto said as he caressed the down girl, getting a blush from her. I promise you that I won't let that man harm you. Pointing to the down Jima. If you come I leave and give you the power to surpass him if you so desire. Okay. Said the 14-year-old girl. Naruto smiled and picked her up bridal style, causing a blush from the girl. Well, let's go. Flashback end. Hello, Minerva-chan. Naruto nodded toward Minerva. Boss told me to tell you important information. Wait, you're a clone? Asked an irritated Minerva. Yes, he had more important duties to attend. He sent me to begin Arya's training and to help you master your territory magic. The clone said. Minerva, not feeling satisfied, asked the clone a question. So where's the real you? Asked Minerva. The clone just stared at her for a couple seconds. He's seeing a friend. Fairy Tail Infirmary. Naruto silently appeared in Fairy Tail's infirmary, where he was just being healed. He walked toward the sleeping mage by the bed and just stared at her. Noticing the slight uncomfort, he carefully picked up Mira and set her on the bed. He tucked her in and just stared at her angelic face. After all these years, you still look so beautiful. Naruto thought as he caressed her cheeks, getting a smile as a response. He then pulled back his hand when he heard her mumble some words. Naruto-kun, Mira muttered those words. Am I in your dreams, Mira-chan? Or am I causing you more nightmares? Naruto said quietly with a downcast tone. He tucked some strands of hair behind her ear and stared at her face. I will protect you, Mira, even from me. Naruto thought as he bent down, his face getting closer to hers. He could feel her breath tickling his skin. His lips were going to connect with hers, but he stopped and pulled back. This is the only time I could tell you this before I begin the forbidden spell, but Mira, I love you. Sorry for being such a coward and not telling you when you're conscious. Naruto whispered to the sleeping mage. He disappeared using his magic and left after saying his unheard confession. End. Chapter 7. Birth of the Akatsuki. If you are wondering, this will be an origin chapter that will be crucial to any future plots. It will involve the character I mentioned before, Dante Miswire. Please bear with this chapter and enjoy. Begin. Red Dawn Town was a beautiful port town south in the kingdom of Fiori. The town had a rich history of being the birthplace of many great mages, some who made the wizard saints. Red Dawn Town was also the birthplace of an organization of 10 S-class dark mages, the Akatsuki, an organization which rivaled the 10 wizard saints in power and seek the resurrection of their leader, Dante Miswire. Most of Akatsuki were killed except for a few. Those few left Akatsuki, giving up on the goal they seeked, well except for one. Obito Uchiha, last wielder of the eye magic, the Sharingan, continued to look for the resurrection of his leader. After witnessing the death of the woman he loved by his childhood friend, Kakashi Haddock. Out of rage, he attacked Kakashi, but was not able to win at his current state. Kakashi took his left eye and left him there, practically dead. He laid there, awaiting death, until a man with white hair and red slitted eyes appeared in front of him. Flashback. X870. A 16-year-old Obito stared with his half-lidded eyes at the man in front of him. The man had pure white hair and red slitted eyes. His complexion was pale and looked as he was suffering from malnutrition. He was wearing a red button shirt with a black tie. Over his shirt, he wore a black dressing shirt. He had slim, black dressing pants and black dressing shoes. The man gently picked Obito up and began walking deeper into the forest they were in. Where are you taking me? Obito asked half-conscious. He was bleeding out because of the giant hole on his left shoulder. He wanted to just die there quietly, but this man interrupted him. Solace. The man's voice said with a soft tone. He looked down, expected the boy to respond, but found him unconscious. He kept walking for a while until he arrived at the location, a cave that went underground. The cave his body is sealed in. Some time later. Obito groggily woke from his slumber. His eyes widened realizing he was alive. He moves his hands to his right eye, shocked he could see with his left. I healed your wounds, child. A voice said from the doorway of the room he was staying in. Obito turned to the figure and noticed it was the same man that picked him up in the forest he fought Kakashi. Who are you? Obito asked as his eyes narrowed at the newcomer. My name is Dante Miswire. Dante said as he sat on the chair that was next to his bed. His eyes studied Obito, who was feeling weird under his gaze. Why are you staring at me like that? Obito asked sheepishly as he turned away, weirded out by the weird golden eyes of Dante. I witnessed your fight against your friend. Obito growled toward Dante when he recalled his fight with Kakashi. You used the fabled Sharingan, said to belong to the extinct Uchiha clan. So that would mean you are an Uchiha. Child, may I see your eyes? Obito looked at the man weirdly before deciding to comply. Obito's black right eye changed into red with 3 tomos. Dante expected his left eye to also turn into a Sharingan, but was wrong. I used your DNA to form your left eye, but it hasn't turned into a Sharingan. Interesting. Dante whispered. Child, is this the highest your Sharingan can go? Dante asked with curiosity to the potential of this kid. Dante never met an Uchiha before this child, but he read they had the capability to evolve into different stages. First, my name is Obito and I don't know what you mean. Is this what this is called? Obito asked in slight awe. He unlocked it a month ago when he and his team, Team Nighthawk, encountered a powerful enemy. Rin was going to be impaled by a spear if Obito didn't react and pushed her out of the way. Obito was able to sew the spear and know where it was going, contrary to earlier where the Dark Mage's attacks were too fast for them. Yes, it is called the Sharingan, hereditary eye magic passed down in the Uchiha clan. Dante said but was surprised when he saw the awestruck face of Obito. I have a clan. Dante was actually surprised by Obito's outburst. Your parents never told you anything about your ancestry? Dante asked. Obito heard what he said and his awestruck expression turned into a somber one. I don't know my parents, I'm an orphan. Obito said without looking at Dante. Obito was raised at an orphanage most of his life and that's where he met Rin. They grew up together and decided to join their local guild, Spirito Azul. They met Kakashi, who also lost his father and made a team with him. They gained enough money to buy their own house and saw each other as family until Kakashi's betrayal. I see well you are an Uchiha. Dante said not showing any sympathy toward Obito. A clan said to be completely terminated 20 years ago by the Dark Mage, Zeref himself. Why did he kill my clan? Obito asked with little sympathy toward the clan he never knew. He killed him out of fear. Dante said getting a surprised look from Obito. He feared the power of the Sharingan. The tale that brought fear into Zeref was the tale of the infinite Tsukiyomi. A limitless illusion that affects every person in this planet. How do you know that? Asked Obito out of curiosity. I'll tell you later. Dante said as he stood up and stared down at Obito. Obito, I want to ask you something. What are you going to do now? Dante asked Obito, who looked confused of that question. Dante rephrased it so Obito can understand. Now that the silver boy betrayed you, the girl is dead and your village is destroyed, what are you going to do? Obito widened his eyes when he recalled what happened earlier in the day. Kakashi killing Rin and taking away his left eye, the village being destroyed by a giant lightning bolt that Obito believed came from Kakashi. Obito clenched his teeth and attempted to stand up but failed, not able to control the now healed part of his body. He looked up at Dante and said. I'm going to kill Kakashi. Obito declared. And then what? Dante asked. Obito widened his eyes when he heard the question. He didn't know what to do after he killed Kakashi. I don't know. Obito said as he lowered his head again. Join me. Dante said as he stared down at Obito. Join me in my mission. Huh? This world is full of corruption and deceit. Humans' obsession with power and being unable to trust your own government, this is not the world we should be living in. I wish to create peace, true peace where hate and sadness are non-existent. Build a world of dreams. Will you join me in creating this new world? Dante reached out his hand toward Obito who felt reluctant to grab. Dante saw the hesitation and decided to convince him using his emotions. You will even be able to see that girl again. Obito widened his eyes. He would be able to see Rin again, be able to spend his life with her. He was skeptical at first, but his love for Rin clouded all judgment and reached out and grabbed Dante's hand. Dante smirked realizing his goal will come sooner than expected. After you fully heal, I'll take you to Red Dawn Town. Dante said as he walked out, leaving Obito in the dark. Dante then pulled out a picture of a pale-haired child that looked to be around 5 with a man next to him who had brown hair and gray-silver eyes. I will fix this world, father. 3 days later. Dante, are we there yet? Said aboard Obito. Dante ignored him and kept walking until they reached the entrance of Red Dawn Town. Obito was excited when they finally arrived, but that changed after what he saw. Children were looking through garbages, trying to find food, men and women were laying on the side of the streets, begging for food, a woman lying in one alley unconscious from lack of nutrition, and her daughter trying to wake her up. A little boy the age of 4 ran up to him begging for any spare food. Obito pulled out an apple he grabbed earlier and handed it to the boy. The boy tearfully thanked Obito and ran to the unconscious woman and begged his mother to eat it. Obito turned to ask Dante what happened here, but Dante predicted what he was going to ask. This is what I meant about the greed and corruption of humans. Dante pointed to the mansion high on a hill outside the town. The owner of that house forcefully took control of this town for his own profit. While the people slowly die of starvation, he is eating like a pig. Why doesn't the council do something? Obito asked angrily. He was disgusted with what he was seeing and just wanted to go up to the mansion and kill that pig. Because the council is in his pocket. He paid a member of the council to ignore this town. Dante said but was practically ignored by Obito. Obito watched as a beautiful woman was being pulled by the hair by a thug. Her parents ran out yelling for them to stop but was quickly punched by another thug who gave him a grimy grin. Please, help. The girl yelled as she tried to resist, but the thug backhanded her and stomped on her stomach. Shut up bitch. Boss said any cute girls will be brought up to his mansion for entertainment. The thug said with a sick grin. He was going to continue to drag her, but Obito appeared before him and punched him across the face, causing him to fly into an empty stand of food. Disgusting, you people are disgusting. Obito said as he glared at the man in front of him. He then ducked, dodging a side slash from the thug's ally. Obito kicked the man in his midsection, causing him to lean forward. Obito grabbed his face and called out a fire spell to burn his face off. The first man stood up and went for a punch, but Obito was quicker to react. He ducked under the punch and grabbed his wrists, pulling them back. He kicked his knees, dropping him down and pulled back his wrist. Ah! The thug yelled in pain as his arms were being pulled back forcefully. People like your boss disgust me. Thinking they are all high and mighty flashing their money around but holding no real power. I will let you live, but you will be my warning to him. The thug eyes widened realizing what he meant, but it was too late. Obito pulled his arms off his sockets, leaving him a crying mess. Now leave. The man, not wanting to spend any more time with this monster, turned around and ran toward his boss's mansion. The man who had his face burned off also turned around and ran behind his comrade. Well, it seemed you created some new enemies. Dante said as he walked next to Obito, with his arms crossed. Obito crouched down next to the girl and checked up on her. The girl quickly wrapped her arms around Obito and cried on his chest. Once she controlled her emotions, she ran up to her father. Her father wrapped her daughter in his arms and turned to Obito, thanking him wholeheartedly. We need to save these people. Obito said without turning to Dante. He turned to the mansion up the hill and glared with his one Sharingan eye. This will not end well, you know. Dante said. I know. Obito said with a smile as he ran toward the direction of the mansion. Dante followed Obito but couldn't shake a smile that formed on his lips. He is just like I used to be. Mansion. What do you mean a kid did that to you? A short man that had puffy brown hair and wears a small pair of black glasses. He also wore a black suit with a purple tie. Lord Gatton forgive us. He was a strong mage for his age and surprised us. The man who had both of his arms on a sling. Him and his partner were on the floor, bowing their heads, trying to get their boss to forgive them. Gatton slammed his hands on the desk, frightening the two girls dressed in a revealing maid dresses by his side. Go form a group and teach that brat a lesson. Gatton said, getting angry each second. Teach him the horrors in crossing me. As he finished saying that, a huge explosion was heard outside. He ran out of his office and looked at the front door. A young boy with one black-colored eye and the other red walked inside his home with a furious look on his face. Next to him walked a pale-haired man with red eyes, with a stoic expression on his face. They were quickly surrounded by thugs and rogue mages, who Gatton hired as extra muscle. Obito looked around before calling out for their boss. Who is the man who brought misery to the people of Red Dawn Town? Obito yelled out. You got some nerves walking into my home and demanding me? Yelled Gatton, seething in anger by the kid who walked into his building. Obito turned toward the voice that must have belonged to the leader of this place and frowned deeply. Someone so pathetic was the one bringing misery to the people of the town. Someone as pathetic as you is the one terrorizing the town, how pathetic. Obito let out, bringing more anger to Gatton. He turned to his men and ordered them to kill the kid. Kill them both. Anyone who brings me the kid's head personally will get a huge bonus from me and will have a choose from my fine collection of women. As Gatton said that, he walked back inside his office, but not before hearing the cheers he got from his men. Obito just stared at the retreating form with even more anger. How dare he? How dare he offer women like trophies? He turned back around to a man who was running toward him, with his blade pulled back. Once the man swung his blade, Obito jumped on top of the blade and used it as a plank to launch himself in the air. Once in the air, a magic circle appeared in front of him as he prepared his spell. Phoenix Flame outburst. A huge blast of scorching hot fire hit the majority of the small army, burning them to crisp. Once Obito landed, he jumped to the side, dodging giant rocks heading toward him. He jumped in front of a wall of fire he created and slammed his hand on the floor. Scorching Dragon Strike. The wall morphed into a dragon and headed toward the Earth Mage, who was too slow to form a wall. He was going to continue on to the next guy, but a huge gust of wind smashed him toward a wall. Ah! Obito cried in pain as he hit the wall. He turned toward the direction of the wind and found a wind mage with a cocky grin on his face. Obito felt utterly useless stuck on the wall, but the wind mage fell unconscious by a strike behind his neck by Dante. Obito got off the wall and threw two fireballs toward Dante, hitting two swordsmen behind him. Dante turned around and stared at the two unconscious swordsmen before turning to a smirking Obito. Dante returned the smirk before grabbing a sword from the floor and throwing toward Obito, a sword getting a thug that was going to attack Obito, stuck on the wall. Obito turned to the thug and slammed his head on the wall, knocking him unconscious. Obito rocketed himself up to the second floor and turned back to Dante, unsure to leave him alone. You go ahead, I'll handle the rest down here. Dante said as he kneeled down and elbowed an incoming attacker, causing him to lean forward. He grabbed the man and tossed him toward a group heading toward him. He turned to the group getting up, but not before giving Obito a thumbs up. Obito smiled before heading toward Gatton's office. Once he walked inside the office, he was thrown sideways by a huge weapon wrapped by bandages. Well, you came this far, only to come face to face with the mercenary mage, Kisame Hoshigaki. Gatton said from his desk as he stared at the kid who dare stand up to him. Obito looked at the man who struck and felt a little bewildered by the man's facial characteristics. He had a light blue complexion, gills, eyes of a shark, and sharp fangs like a shark. He was shooting a killer smirk toward Obito as he put his giant weapon on his shoulder. I thought you were a strong opponent by the commotion you are creating, but you're just a kid. Kisame said, a little disappointed. He looked back at Gatton and gave him a frown. I thought I was fighting someone strong. As Kisame said that, Obito appeared in front of him, aiming a kick at him. Kisame grabbed his ankle and slammed him on the floor hard. Even with the element of surprise, you still can't land a hit. How disappointing. Kisame brought his weapon up, ready to kill Obito. Obito's eyes widened and quickly shot a blast of fire magic toward Kisame's chest, causing him to step back in pain. Obito quickly got back up and jumped away, trying to get some space. Kisame got out of his surprise from being hit by the spell and stared at Obito. Well, you actually hit me. Kisame said with a sharp grin. Kisame appeared in front of Obito with his blade ready to crush him. Obito ducked down, avoiding the slash, but was too late to avoid his foot. Kisame kicked him to the wall and didn't stop there. He swung his blade again, but Obito called his spell faster. Phoenix Flame outburst. A huge blast of flame came out of his mouth and pushed Kisame back. Kisame smirked at the pain. He grabbed what was left of his shirt and tossed it to the side, leaving him shirtless. He rolled his neck as he continued to stare at Obito. Quick, but not enough to beat me, kid. Kisum said with his smirk never leaving his face. Obito spit out a glob of blood before turning to Kisum. Why work for someone like him? Obito said as he pointed toward Gaten, who had the maid-dressed girls on his lap and forcefully kneading their breast, ignoring the tears streaming down their eyes. Obito became even more angry as he watched the disgusting act, but Kisum didn't appear to feel the same. Because the pay is good and it comes with benefits. Kisum said, ignoring what Gaten was doing. Obito in anger ran toward Kisum with his right arm extended back and his other hand on his right bicep. Kisum gave another shark-like smirk and unbandaged the top of his sword, exposing downward-facing scales. Kisum swung his blade, intending to shred Obito apart, but a whip made of flame grabbed Kisum's blade and threw to the wall. Obito quickly ran up to the shocked Kisum and punched him across the room. Obito did not stop there, he used the flame whip to pull Kisum back to him and kicked him down to the floor. Obito went for another kick aimed at his face, but Kisum opened his mouth and let a torrent of water hit Obito back. Obito landed on the other side of the room, next to Kisum's blade. He looked at it and smirked. He went to pick it up, but spikes popped out. Ah! Obito screamed in pain as he held his left hand in front of him. He looked at the blade before turning to a smirking Kisum. Samehada, one of the great 7 swords of the mist. Kisum began saying. A sword that is extremely picky in who wields it and will hurt anyone who does so anyway. You don't have to work for such a disgusting pig like him, join us instead. Obito said, trying to convince Kisum to join his side. Kisum looked at him before beginning to laugh. And why should I join you? Kisum asked in mild interest. What can you offer that Gaten cannot? Obito didn't answer it, but Dante did. The world of truth. Dante said from the doorway. Kisum turned to the doorway and stared at the new figure. What do you mean by that? Kisum asked. The world where lies and deceit is non-existent, where you don't have to worry of someone betraying you like they did to you in the Mist Islands. Dante said, causing Kisum's eyes to widen. How does he know? Kisum thought in shock. Dante noticed the shock on Kisum's face and could help but smirk. They ordered you to kill one of your own, the original owner of Samehada. Rumors had it that he sold confidential information to the highest bidder and your leader asked you to kill him. Once you killed him and took his sword, you were ambushed by mages hired by the same leader that ordered you to kill Fuguki Tsukizan. Dante said to the shocked Kisum. How? Kisum let out, trying to figure out how he knew all this. He then noticed something odd coming from Dante's left eye. Dante realized he saw his eyes and walked toward Kisum. Once he was in front of him, he whispered the secret of one of his birthright. I have the ability to see your darkest moment. Dante whispered, loud enough for only Kisum and him to hear. Gaten turned away from one of the girl and turned to Kisum. What are you doing, Kisum? Kill them already. Gaten yelled in anger. Kisum turned toward Gaten before turning to Dante. He whispered low enough for Dante to hear. This world sounds interesting. Kisum said with a smirk before turning to Gaten. It seems I work for them now. Kisum said, pointing toward the 2 men behind him. Gaten's eyes widened, out of surprise of the sudden turn of events. What are you talking about, Kisum? You work for me. Gaten said, trying to get Kisum back on his side. Kisum walked over to Obito and grabbed his sword. Kisum and Obito walked next to Dante and stared at Gaten. Is it about money? Because I can offer a raise. It's not about the money, they just made a better offer. Kisum said as he put Samehada back on his shoulder. I'll double it. Hell, I'll triple it if you wish. Gaten said with desperation. He noticed Kisum was still not going to accept his offer. He noticed Obito walking toward him with a fierce glare, directed right at him. You can have all the women I have if you, please just spare me. Obito appeared right in front of him, grabbing his neck and slamming him on the wall. His one black, one Sharingan glaring into Gaten's. Pig like you doesn't deserve to live. Let me show an example of what you will deal with in hell. Obito used a powerful fire spell to burn Gaten into a crisp. He turned to Dante, who was back to his stoic expression. Obito turned to the 2 girls on the floor who were staring at Obito with fear. He gave them a comforting smile before saying. You 2 are safe now, you can go home without feeling fear. Once the girls heard this, they ran up to Obito and gave him a hug. They quickly got off when they realized there were others. We have to rescue the others. One of the girls said as they pulled Obito toward the direction of the basement. They left the office with Dante and Kisum behind him. Once they got out of the room, they came in contact with a complete bloodshed. The girls covered their mouth and Obito turned to Dante with an angry expression. You didn't have to kill all of them. Obito screamed in anger. Dante just stared at him with an emotionless expression. If I didn't kill them, they will no doubt seek revenge, going as far as hurting innocent lives. That is the cycle of hatred. Dante said. But. I agree, kid, they would seek revenge. They would seek your loved ones and hurt them. Kisum said as he walked in front of them. Obito wanted to argue, but he came up with nothing. They headed toward the basement. Once Obito walked in, he was completely disgusted. Women were completely naked, chained to the walls and beds. They all had bruises on their necks and legs, some even had semen on their thighs. Obito connected eyes with one of the chained girls, staring at the girl's dead eyes. The two maid-dressed girls ran up to them and began to unchain them. This is one of the faults of humanity. Dante said with a frown as he stared at the women as well. He turned to Obito, who was boiling with anger. He saw the anger in his eyes and knew Obito would want the world he desires. Dante turned toward Kisame and asked him where Gaten left his fortune. Kisame told him of a safe hidden behind the bookshelf inside Gaten's room. Dante tossed Kisame a sealing scroll and asked him to seal inside anything valuable. Kisame complied and walked to get anything valuable. Dante turned back to Obito, who got out of his state and began helping the chained girls. Red Dawn Town. Once they arrived, the people came out and were shocked when they saw the women that were taken by Gaten. Obito looked at the crowd and declared he killed Gaten. The town looked skeptical at first before cheering loudly. They thanked Obito personally, thanking him for saving them. Dante stood in the background as he watched Obito be thanked and praised by the townspeople. Kisame walked up beside Dante, eyes staring at Obito. "So what's the plan, boss?" Kisame said in a joking manner. Dante never left Obito, but he still answered Kisame. "Have you wondered I have yet to use magic?" Dante asked, which Kisame shook his head in a negative. "Because my true body is sealed away." Kisame looked confused, but Dante said he will explain later. He walked toward Obito, who was basking in glory, and told him to follow him. Obito agreed and followed after him. The villagers screamed that their home will be here when they return. 5 minutes later. Dante brought Obito and Kisame into a cave inside the forest that neighbored Red Dawn Town. They walked inside and came in contact with a wall with weird inscriptions and a weird drawings of an eye in the center. Obito looked at Dante for an answer, which her answered. "This is where my body is at." Dante turned to the other two and began to explain. 10 years ago, I attempted to create the world of truth. My father discovered my plan and ambushed me, sealing my body in this place you see here. Unknown to him, I was able to rip a piece of my soul and able to solidify it. This is the form you see now, an incomplete form of my true self. Dante said at the shocked faces of Kisame and Obito. "So that explains why I never seen you use magic." Kisame said in a matter of fact. "So what do you actually plan?" Obito asked, not sure of what to think. "First I want to be unsealed, to be in my true body." Dante said as he hand traced the wall he was confined in. "But for that to happen, I need the energy of all 9 tailed demons." Kisame's eyes widened when he heard that. "You wish us to capture the tailed demons, are you mad?" Kisame asked crazily. "Yes, and to do that, we need to bring in more recruits," Dante said as he stared at Obito. "And I want you to lead this organization." Obito looked at Dante crazily. "What? Why make me the leader?" Obito asked. "Because I can't lead at my current state and Kisame doesn't look like the one to make orders." Obito looked at Kisame, who shrugged and agreed with Dante. "If you think I should." Obito whispered with head bowed down. "I know you should," Dante said in encouragement. Obito looked at Dante before nodding. Kisame walked up to him and put his hand on his shoulder. "So what's the name of this little group, boss?" Obito looked at Kisame before looking at Dante. "We are the one to bring a new age, we would now be known as Akatsuki," Obito said with a commanding tone. Kisame smirked at his new boss and Dante let a smirk cross his face. This was the day the Akatsuki was born. Flashback end. Since that time, many things happened. He found 8 other recruits that proved they were strong to join their organization. They were successful in capturing 8 of the 9-tailed demons. The council discovered of their plans and began sending their 10 wizard saints to eliminate them. Obito walked inside the same cave the Akatsuki was born in. His attire changed into a black robe with red clouds and an orange mask that swirled. He looked around and found the rune that was able to turn on the torches in the cave. His lone Sharingan looked at the wall and his hand traced the wall. 5 years after the destruction of the Akatsuki and I come here to tell you of my failure, Obito said. You haven't failed me just yet. Obito turned around and faced Dante. Obito quickly went on his knees. My father has been killed by the prophecy child. You mean the one your father told you about? Obito asked. Yes, he will be the key to unsealing me. Most of the members of the Akatsuki are gone, but that doesn't mean our goal has diminished. We will bring a new world, Dante said, which Obito agreed to. End. Chapter 8. Sealing Your Heart. Well, by the reviews I was given, the chapter of Dante was not well liked. Answering some of the review, this story's main protagonist is Naruto. The plot revolves around Naruto and Mira, but they face many bumps on the road. Dante and the Akatsuki are important to my story and you will understand why later in the story. This chapter will involve Naruto's spell he received through his sensei's memories. Well, let's begin with the next chapter of regret. Begin. Murahin Strauss could not be happier to wake up this morning. She woke from an amazing dream and now she can apologize to Naruto and try to get close to him again. She wanted this to be like it was before, she would still feel slight resentment toward Naruto, but she doesn't want more hatred in her life. She stretched out her arms and yawned cutely from her slumber. She let her eyes adjust to the sunlight before she realized where she was at. The bed. I fell asleep on the chair. She realized she was on Naruto's bed with no Naruto in sight. She noticed all his equipment was gone, taken overnight. She quickly stood up and ran out of the room. She noticed the guild was mostly empty, only those who came early were there. She noticed Makarov seating next to the bar with an expression of deep thought. "Master, have you seen Naruto?" Mira asked as she walked up to Makarov. Makarov got out of his deep thought and gave Mira a frown. "I'm sorry Mira, but he left," Makarov said, knowing how Mira was going to take it. Mira's eyes widened in shock. Her one chance to make things right with Naruto was taken away. Her shocked expression quickly turned into that of anger. He left, Mira yelled, not hiding the frustration she was feeling. Makarov gave a nod before explaining what transpired last night. "Once he woken up last night, me and him went out for a little walk," Makarov explained to the angry Mira. He was feeling quite disappointed with Naruto for causing this new emotion to rise from the usually happy Mira. "I tried to convince him to stay, but he said that Fairy Tail would be safer with him not around. That's why he left," Mira screamed, completely out of character to her usual behavior. A couple of mages that were there began to shrivel in fear seeing the angry version of Mira. Makarov was also feeling slightly nervous, watching as she began to let a dark aura. Demon Mira may have returned. Makarov gulped his breath as that thought crossed his mind. Mira then turned around, going to leave to find Naruto, but Makarov grabbed her wrist. "Let go master, I have to find Naruto," Mira yelled, trying to pry her wrist off of Makarov's grip. "No dear, it's too late," Makarov said, eyes showing sympathy toward Mira. She glared at Makarov, not wanting to believe his words. Makarov returned her glare with his stern look. Her eyes then changed from anger to that of desperation. "I need to find him," Mira whispered in desperation, loud enough for Makarov to hear. "I know, we all need him back," Makarov whispered back. He let go of her arm, not wanting to hold her back. "Master, is it alright if I take a day off? I feel a little tired," Mira said, turning her back on him. Makarov stared at her sadly. "She really misses you, Naruto." "Yes you may." Mira nodded and headed out. Once she was out, she bumped into Urza. Urza stared at her former rival, surprised by Mira's tired look. Before Urza can address Mira's condition, Mira apologized for bumping into her and walked away, heading home. Urza stared at Mira's retreating form until she was interrupted by Makarov, who walked up next to her. "She should be left alone right now," Makarov said from his spot next to Urza. Urza looked down at her master. "What's wrong with her?" Urza asked. "Naruto left last night." Urza's eyes widened, not expected that. He left again?" Urza asked in surprise. "Yes, and I don't where," Makarov said as he left toward the bar. Urza watched him walk away before turning to the sky. "Where are you Naruto?" "Naruto?" The cloaked figure stood in front of the Dark Guild, Blood Rain Republic. A guild wanted by the council for their involvement of the Silver Ore Town massacre and holding an S-class mage, said to equal a wizard saint. The cloaked figure brought his hand up, palm directed at the guild entrance. The door flew open, getting the attention of the guild. He walked calmly forward, getting the guild in high alert. "Who the hell are you?" A skinny mage dressed in green shorts and a brown tank top said. He brought his palm up, showing a fireball in his hand. Naruto didn't answer, instead brought his hand up and began to silently count how many mages there was. One tall and heavily muscled mage saw this and began to laugh. "It seems you're becoming scared, not surprised if you know who we are," the tall mage said with a twisted smirk. Naruto finished counting the last mage, counting less he thought. A gust of wind dropped the hood covering his head, allowing the mages to see Naruto's sad face that showed nothing but regret and sorrow. "Please forgive me," Naruto said. "Huh?" one mage said, but Naruto already appeared before him. Naruto swiped his hand horizontal in front of his face. Blind manipulation. Aerial slicer. Nothing happened at first, but then he dropped down to his knees. His guildmates watched in horror as half of his head slid off. They turned at Naruto in anger and ran forward, intending to avenge their comrade. Naruto formed 4 exact copies and sent them toward on group. The original ran toward a mage that was using smoke magic. The mage sent a cloud of smoke toward Naruto, who simply blew it away with his control of wind. Naruto solidified wind around his arm, forming a blade-like structure over his right hand. He appeared around the smoke mage and decapitated him. He stuck out his hand toward a mage trying to attack him from his left. Pressure blast. That mage was thrown back, crashing into 5 others behind him. The mage looked up from his spot and stared at Naruto, who stood there. "Please, spare us." Naruto was oblivious to the mage's pleas as he cut them off. He turned to his 4 clones, watching the onslaught they were creating. The original jumped back, dodging a barrage of bullets. Naruto looked up and saw a mage with sunglasses and in a black suit, shooting him with dual magic pistols. Naruto quickly stopped and put his hand forward, forming small projectiles midair. Blind bullets. Those small bullets made of air, shot toward the well-dressed mage. They went through him, forming holes on his body. He fell forward, letting much of his blood litter the floor. Naruto then went through hand signals, forming a magic circle. Blind manipulation. Razor Wind Dragon. The dragon flew out of the circle and toward many of the mages. It crashed toward them, shredding them into pieces. It was heading toward more mages, but it was crushed by a huge claw made of pure black magic. Naruto looked up and saw a figure sitting on one of the rails, pitch black staff leaning on his shoulders and the arm coming off his back. Incredible, isn't it? Using my staff's ability, I'm able to use the magic inside my body as a weapon. The man said as he used his gloved hands to lift his bamboo hat. He had a white haori jacket with nothing under. He had black pants on with traditional samurai sandals. Naruto stared at the figure sitting on the rail and saw the smile form on the remaining mages. "You're done for now, our ace devil spirit Tsukiko is here," one mage said. "He survived this long by staying away from the onslaught." "Yeah, you're done for, he'll kill you for what you've done," another mage said. "Hahaha. Don't get the wrong idea, I just came out of my room to see the commotion." Tsukiko turned to Naruto and gave him a smirk. "Actually, seeing the inevitable fate you all hold, I'm announcing my resignation." The mages around him stared in shock and fear. The giant arm retracted and formed into wings. He stood up and stared at Naruto. "I can see that you can wield your soul as well," Tsukiko said, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. "We'll meet again, kid, better hope I'll be as merciful as I'm being now." With that, he flew through the roof. The mage tried to sneak behind Naruto, but a clone appeared behind him and cut off his head. Naruto looked around and noticed only a fraction of the original number still stood. "Please. Spare us." The remaining mages said as they dropped to their knees and bowed toward Naruto. "We don't want to die." "Did you spare the people from Silver Ore Town?" Naruto asked coldly. "Did you spare the women after you brutally raped them? Did you feel sorrow after you sold all those children into slavery?" "We're sorry." Another mage yelled in fear. "Sorry, well I'm sorry too, sorry for sending you to eternal damnation," Naruto said, putting his hand forward. Blind manipulation. 100 wind blades. Blades were materialized from the wind and shot toward the remaining mages, cutting into pieces. Naruto sighed as he saw he finished with the necessary sacrifice. He dropped to his knees and began to throw up. One clone walked up to him, rubbing his back. "We have enough blood to form the ritual." Naruto nodded as he saw the massive amount of blood on the floor. Unconsciously began to let out tears, but Naruto ignored it. He began to undress to his boxers as he moved to the center of the room and laid the pool of blood. The 4 clones sat down, circling around him. Naruto closed his eyes as he felt one of the clones draw a symbol over his heart. The clone then stepped back and sat back down. They closed their palms together and began to speak out in an ancient language, which he learned from a memory from Dante. The symbol over his heart began to shine a bright color and his eye color turned pure black. Naruto began thrash around, feeling the immense pain. A power gust shot out of Naruto, blasting away the bodies that littered the floor, leaving some blood in his clones. Next thing that happened, the blood around the room came together, forming a giant ball over them. The bowl then separated into 3 rings as the clones continued the ritual. The rings dropped to the floor, forming black letters from an ancient language. The rings began to spin at a rapid speed, somehow causing Naruto to thrash harder. The clones began to speak louder and quicker as the ritual near finished. The blood inside the rings started to lose their color as the letters grew brighter. The rings stopped spinning as the ritual almost ended. The letters began to move toward Naruto. The letters spread on his body until they circled around the seal over his heart. Naruto stopped thrashing as the ritual finished. "Ha ha ha." Naruto began to breath heavily as the ritual finished. "Boss, how do you feel?" one clone asked. "I feel nothing," he said in a monotone voice. He looked around, staring at the bodies around the floors, next to the walls. Absolutely nothing. End. Chapter 9. Life with no remorse or compassion. Begin. The weakness that his emotions are finally gone. Naruto thought as he walked toward the door. Once in front of the exit, he looked down to see a human eyeball looking up at him. He stared at it with his impassive eyes before stepping on it and walking out. Naruto was then surprised when he was pulled into his mindscape and in front of Kyuubi, who was glaring at him. Do you think sealing your emotions will allow you full access to my power? Kyuubi asked from his mindscape. He woke up after he noticed Naruto's mindscape began to change into a more grayish and duller environment to the one before, like it was without life. Yes, without the ability to hate or feel despair, you can't take over my body. Naruto coolly responded, which surprised him when Kyuubi responded with laughter. Ahaha, you puny human can't see the many flaws in your plan. Kyuubi laughed out, which Naruto responded with slightly tilting his head in curiosity. What flaws do you speak of? Naruto questioned, which Naruto grinned darkly toward Naruto. I also went through the memories you received from that teacher of yours, and I also saw that the spell you used to free you of your emotions was incomplete. Kyuubi responded with his dark grin becoming wider. Naruto crossed his arm as his impassive eyes lazily stared toward the grinning fox. I know of the failure of Sensei's first attempts of the ritual, but I used those experiences and my current mastery of the arts of seals to perfect the spell. Naruto said to the powerful being in front of him. You improved the spell of that human, but did not perfect it. Kyuubi said as he stared down at Naruto. Tell me human, why do you still want to protect that mate of yours? She is not my mate and because I feel like it's my duty to protect them. Naruto said without expression. The Kyuubi dark laughter rang through the room as he heard Naruto's response. For a human who sealed his emotions away, you must really be convicted to that woman. Kyuubi said, getting Naruto to narrow his eyes. He wasn't understanding what Kyuubi was trying to say, but didn't appreciate it. Kyuubi noticed his expression and smirked toward him. You still can't see it, can you, brat? I still don't understand what you're trying to imply, Kyuubi. Naruto said, causing more laughter from Kyuubi. Kyuubi then turned away from Naruto and waves his arms dismissively. Hahaha. I don't really feel like telling you, brat, so figure it out on your own. Kyuubi then motioned for him to leave. Now get out of my presence, puny brat. Naruto stared at Kyuubi for a couple of seconds before turning away. He didn't understand Kyuubi and it appeared Kyuubi wouldn't elaborate any further. He closed his eyes and prepared to return back to the real world. Just remember, without hate, there is no love, Kyuubi said darkly, which Naruto caught on too. Naruto wanted to question further, but he was pulled back to reality. Kyuubi looked back to see if Naruto really left before revealing two figures under one of his tails. Both figures were heavily injured and unconscious because of the seals on their forehead. One figure was a beautiful woman with pink hair that ran down her back and heart-shaped face. She was without clothes, showing off her curvaceous body that had many wounds. The other figures was another beautiful woman, but she had red hair and a darker shade of skin color. Hatred and love, Kyuubi whispered as his tails picked both figures off the floor. He nullified both of you instead of sealing you like his other emotions. He without love, Naruto cannot access my power completely like his mother. Naruto. What did Kyuubi mean? Naruto thought as he walked out of the building. He waved his hand dismissively as he called a spell. Nothing appeared to happen at first, but then the building just exploded. Naruto increased the oxygen drastically around the building that the smallest spark would cause an explosion. Sadly for their desecrated corpse, they used candles as a mean for light. Naruto was then brought out of his thoughts when he heard heavy footsteps. Naruto looked up to see a battalion of rune knights head toward him, then quickly surround him. A middle-aged man with a black eye patch and a huge smirk walked in front of Naruto. You made quite the mess here, kid. Care to explain why you eliminated a dark guild without authorization? He questioned. I felt that my actions toward them was justified after their involvement in the Silver Ore massacre. Naruto said without expression. The apparent captain of the Rune Knight smirked by his answer before pulling out his sword and pointing it toward Naruto. You don't make those decisions, brat, the council does. Now you will come with us to judge your actions. The captain said. I do not understand. You are arresting me for eliminating a dark guild. Naruto questioned, which got a smirk from the captain. I'm arresting you because I feel like a boy. Now are you going to surrender quietly or do you want to make this fun? The captain brought his sword toward his shoulder and motioned his free hand toward Naruto. Naruto just stared at them before setting his sword down. The captain laughed at Naruto's actions before telling two of his subordinates to put anti-magic runes around him. Haha, you must really know my status as captain and grandson of one of the councilmen. He said in a cocky manner. Naruto noticed his attitude before lazily motioned his hand sideways. Everyone around Naruto were shocked when the two rune knights heading to arrest Naruto fell forward, desperately trying to stop the blood from leaving their throats. I set my sword aside because you are too weak to be slain by it, not because I surrender. Naruto calmly said as the wind around Naruto began to solidify into blades. I want to test if my seal actually worked by killing beings of the light. The Rune Knight's captain fell back when the wind blades flew toward the helpless Rune Knights, killing them instantly. He turned to the calm Naruto, who walked past the corpse littering the floor. Captain wanted to run away, but fear took over his will. Naruto stood in front of the scared captain and stared down at his pathetic state. He was quivering in fear and Naruto was sure he can smell urine. He looked down to see the captain in fact urinated himself. "What do you want?" he yelled out, scared out of his mind. "I want nothing, I just wanted to test out if the seal worked and it did, I feel no sympathy or remorse for what I did," Naruto said with his new impassive attitude. "Some of those men had families, you monster. How could you say you feel no remorse for what you did?" the captain responded. Naruto continued to stare at him with his expressionless eyes. "As I said, I feel no remorse," Naruto said before pulling back his hand, holding it with only his index finger out. "Now to end your life." "Wait, no, please. Spare me," the captain asked loudly as he let tears run down his eyes. "I have a wife and a 5-year-old daughter." "Your words don't affect me," Naruto said as 4 wind blades appeared behind him. He motioned his hand forward as the blades flew forward, piercing him. 1 wind blade pierced his heart, another through his stomach, and 2 going through the deceased captain's eyes. Naruto casually walked away from the bloodshed before increasing the amount of oxygen around the Rune Knight's corpse. Naruto snapped his fingers as the corpse exploded in a torrent of fire. "I feel nothing." Naruto repeated his words before grabbing his giant sword and strapping it back on his back. Naruto then used his incredible wind manipulation to solidify the air below him and launching him to the sky. Naruto stopped before something caught his attention. A ripping in the sky appeared a few miles away. "Etheranos in the air are being sucked in by that," Naruto whispered before memories appeared of the incident where he lost Lisana and left Fairy Tail. That was the same hole that took Lisana. Naruto launched himself toward the hole to study it further, but was too late because a heavily cloaked mage closed the hole. Naruto looked down at the mage, lowering down slowly. The cloaked mage noticed Naruto in the air and stared at him back. "Why did you close it?" Naruto questioned the cloaked mage. "Because it is sucking away the magic from Earthland," Mystigan explained, saying part of the truth. He didn't really want people to know of Anima because of the action some forces would do. "I do not remember you from the guild, so you must have joined Fairy Tail after Lisana's death," Naruto said, causing Mystigan to stare at him with shock. How do you?" "I am able to sense the magic around your guild mark," Naruto said, pointing at the left side of his chest. Mystigan was surprised again because he knew where his guild mark was. First he thought Naruto made a mistake because he doesn't necessarily have magic since he was from a world of no magic, so he didn't understand what he meant by magic around his guild mark. "Who are you?" Mystigan questioned. "Naruto Uzumaki," Naruto answered, causing Mystigan's eyes to widen. He heard of him when he joined Fairy Tail and occasionally heard the barmaid speak his name when he uses the sleep spell on her and the other members of Fairy Tail. "Now since I answered your question, I want you to answer mine since it's apparent you know what that was," Naruto said, pointing toward the sky. "I rather not say," Mystigan said before dropping to his knees, gasping for air. He looked toward Naruto who walked up to him and stared down at him. "I don't have no reason to harm you, but if you refuse to answer I will," Naruto said as he brought his hand forward and summoned a wind blade, pointing it at Mystigan's neck. Naruto returned the oxygen around Mystigan and making him decide his fate. "I advise you not to," Mystigan said, but surprised when his bandana covering most of his face was shredded apart. "That was my last warning, I advise you to choose your next words wisely," Naruto warned with his now emotionless demeanor. Mystigan gritted his teeth as he glared at the man before him. He sighed in defeat knowing it was pointless to keep it a secret from him. "That hole in the sky was Anima," Mystigan said. Naruto let the wind blade disappear from his hand and let Mystigan stand. Mystigan stood up when he noticed the blade disappear. "Anima?" Naruto questioned. "Yes, it's a device Earthland's parallel world Idolas created. Idolas is without magic, so they build Anima to get magic from Earthland," Mystigan explained as his eyes never left Naruto. He would have not continued, but he understood Naruto's capabilities and knew he was lucky to even be alive. "Can a human be sucked into the Anima?" Naruto questioned as his eyes never leaving the sky. "I suppose so. I've closing the Anima for some while now since the king of Idola is too power hungry and would not stop until he gained all of Earthland's magic," Mystigan explained, which Naruto responded as he rubbed his chin in wonder. He figured out that there was a chance Lisana was still alive and sent to Idolas instead. "Can you open it from this side or just reopen a sealed one?" Naruto questioned the cloaked man. "No, we don't have the power to open it from here." "Why do you ask?" Mystigan asked. "I wish to travel to this Idolas you speak of," Naruto said, causing the former prince of Idolas to look at Naruto like he was crazy. "Do you even understand what you are saying? You may be able to go into Idolas through Anima, but how do you plan to return? You won't be able to wield magic once you arrive there," Mystigan explained. "So I can't use my magic in Idolas, but I will use my demonic energy," Naruto said before turning away from Mystigan. Mystigan wanted to ask more about Naruto's plans, but Naruto launched himself toward the sky. That is Naruto Uzumaki, lost son of Fairy Tail. Couple of days later. Murahin leaned on a tree as she stared at the clear night sky. No stars in the sky, that only the moon shining down at the lone mage. She wasn't able to sleep as she had another nightmare involving the villagers who called her demon in her childhood. She decided to take a walk and ended up in the lonesome park that sat in the center of Magnolia Town. Murahin closed her eyes as she hummed a song she used to sing to her sister every time Lysana came to her room because she was unable to sleep. She smiled when she recalled those memories of Lysana sleeping in the foot of her bed instead of sleeping in her own room. Sometimes she woke up with Lysana sleeping next to her and Elfman on the other side of her door, probably too embarrassed to be caught. Murahin stopped her singing when she sensed a figure on the other side of the tree. "It's a beautiful night, isn't Naruto?" Murahin said with a smile as Naruto walked out to the open. Naruto looked emotionless as he stared at Murahin. Naruto began to talk, but Murahin walked up to him and grabbed his ear roughly. Her too sweet smile stayed as she brought Naruto down to her height. "Came to apologize for leaving again?" Murahin sweetly said as she stared into his emotionless eyes. "I came to apologize for all the pain I caused," Naruto said. Murahin's smile disappeared as her eyes started studying him. She was unsure, but she could feel something different about Naruto. Her free hand came up and gently set itself on his right cheek. The other hand that was holding his ear came down and set itself on his other cheek. The position they were at would have made Naruto a blushing mess before, but he still stayed impassive. "What happened to your eyes?" Murahin questioned as she continued to stare into his empty blue eyes. Naruto's stoic eyes stared back at her beautiful eyes as he gave her his reply. "I don't understand what you mean, Murahin." Mira was taken back by the way he replied and the missing suffix he always liked to use on her when they were younger. "I can't see nothing in you eyes. I used to see happiness radiating out your eyes when we were younger and saw sadness when our eyes connected in the Phantom Lord Guild, but now I can't see nothing," Murahin said as she kept trying to find something in Naruto's eyes. "You won't be able to find nothing," Naruto responded. "What do you mean by that?" Murahin asked him. "Because a few days ago I sealed away my heart. Now I am free from my weakness in feeling emotions," Naruto said, which caused Murahin to look shocked. She gritted her teeth and slapped Naruto. "You felt that right," Murahin said with a glare directed toward Naruto. She attempted another slap, but Naruto grabbed her wrist. She tried to pull out from his grasp, but was too strong. She attempted to slap him with her other hand, which Naruto stopped by grabbing her other wrist. He pushed her back to the tree and held her there. "Let go of me." Murahin wailed in anger as she tried to escape Naruto's grasp. Many events of calming Murahin occurred in his mind and he decided on the most logical one. Murahin was going to scream again, but Naruto leaned in and captured her lips. He set his hands on her shoulder as he leaned closer to her lips. Murahin began squirming in his hold, but after a few seconds, she stopped. She was left speechless when Naruto pulled away from the kiss. Naruto set his hands on the trees as his empty blue eyes stared at Murahin's unsure eyes. "Why did you kiss me?" Mira asked with a low tone. "I wanted to stop you from yelling," Naruto said, causing Murahin to blush and look away. She was also feeling a little angry that he needed to kiss her only to shut her up. "And also wanted to see if one of my emotions was truly gone," Naruto said. Murahin looked back at Naruto, looking confused. "What do you mean?" Murahin asked. "I wanted to see if I still loved you," Naruto said with his emotionless demeanor. Mira's eyes widened when he heard Naruto's words. He loved her. "Why you?" "Yes, I used to love you, Murahin. Since I first saw you to the last minute before sealing my emotions," Naruto said as he stared down at Murahin. He came to see if his feelings would haywire once he met the woman who embodied his love and his sadness. Sadly, he felt nothing once he saw her. "Murahin, I came to tell you that I'm going to make things right," Naruto said as he stepped away from Mira. "I will leave soon and fix what I did 3 years ago." "You're planning on leaving again?" Mira asked. Naruto's stoic eyes stared deep into her eyes before looking away from her. "It is more logical if I stay away from Fairy Tail," Naruto calmly said. "Do you realize how many people suffered after you left and Lysana died? We've been searching for you all this time and you decide you wish to leave," Murahin said, trying to reason with Naruto. "My decision to leave is for the safety of the guild," Naruto responded back. "You don't know how idiotic that sounds," Murahin said, stepping forward toward Naruto, but she began to feel sleepy. Once she reached Naruto, she fell forward in his arms. Naruto adjusted her to hold her like a husband would hold his bride. Wind circled around him before he appeared in front of Mira's bed. He gently set her down and turned to leave. "Don't go," Murahin whispered in her sleep, causing Naruto to look at her. His mouth twitched as he stared at the sleeping Mira. He turned away from her as he left her alone. "And What if neglected Naruto gets cheated on fairy tale, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.